excuses and put it in the chat. Of course, it's not doing it yet. Why isn't it doing it yet? Usually it's like it can't wait to... Oh, there it is. Alright, muting me. Okay, so I'm going to be one of the viewers probably. So I'll go ahead and like it. So that doesn't count. I'm going to post a link in the STA chat. And OT community comment. And I'm going to tag everyone. Oh, it won't let me. Oh well. And hopefully... There we go. Okay. So... Oh. Sorry, give me 1 sec. Alright. This is going to be set in 2385. And your directives, prime directive as usual. And investigate the prospect of first contact with Sina 2 natives. I'm guessing that's how it's pronounced. Sina with a Y. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I like the Y. I will go ahead and read the captain's log to give you more of an idea of what's going on. Captain's log, stardate 62685.7. The USS Geneva is en route to the Sina solar system to investigate a subspace signal emitting from the second planet in the system, which is inhabited by a pre-warp civilization. Meanwhile, my Aurelian executive officer, Commander Tiber Dunn, is running the senior staff through a battle simulation on the holodeck. Sometimes I think he misses being a security officer. And I'm going to go ahead and take you guys off this annoying page and put you into a more annoying page. You guys are on a battle-damaged bridge of the USS Geneva. Let me just change the ambience level. There we go. And you can hear things exploding, shooting all around you. You might have borders, but you're not sure. You've been on this holodeck now for a little over 2 hours, fighting what your captain told you would be a simulation of what they project the Sina 2 natives to have as far as a warship. They were just on the cusp of having warp drive when the incident happened in 2330. And so far at the moment, the only person that knows everything that happened is the executive officer and the captain. The rest of you will be briefed after this simulation. As far as you can tell, if they had continued on their journey of discovering warp drive, they would have NX style vessels, which obviously on their own would not be a threat to your ship. However, they are not sure if they would have one or multiple. They could have as many as half a dozen, which would mean that They could put up a bit of a fight if you happen to show up and get into a fight with them. Obviously, we're not planning on it, but things happen. So this is kind of like a preparation for that incident if it should happen. On the holodeck, the bridge is full of smoke, plasma flames, sparking conduits, the sound of the red alert klaxon, which should come back on. On the cracked, static-filled main viewer, one single alien warship is flying at your starship. The other two are a bit further away. I will go ahead and let you see where you guys are in the relative scheme of things. So here's you. You've got one ship moving towards you, a second ship slightly further away, and a third ship moving in at extreme range. So, Commander T. Verdun, what are your orders?
Would I be right in saying, from memory, that both torpedoes and arrays function best at long range?
I believe torpedoes do.
Okay.
I remember correctly. Or maybe, wait, no, hold on.
So I seem to remember, for phasers, I seem to remember it's cannons short, banks medium, and arrays long, I think.
I think arrays are also medium. I think it's the torpedoes that are long range. I think.
Okay. Well, the first thing is to get an analysis of just how bad our damage situation is, since we appear to be thoroughly on fire from the opening picture. Is that accurate? Is the bridge really that damaged in this scenario? Pretty close.
If you remember, in Star Trek Generations, like right after the Klingon torpedo hit the ship and caused all that destruction, right before they actually crashed onto the planet, that's kind of actually what the ship looks like. It's probably a bit less smoky and dark, but it more or less looks like that, yes. You're basically on running on fumes, so to speak.
Okay, so his orders will be as follows. Ensign Skycat, evasive maneuvers. Lieutenant Commander Zen, damage report. And Lieutenant Merck, begin preparations for engaging the long-range target with torpedoes.
All right, so you said the first one, besides the NPC, the first player character was Zen, correct?
Yes.
That was for a damage report.
Damage report.
All right. Lieutenant Commander Zen, if you would like to roll a control and engineering or reason engineering difficulty 2, since the damage report machine has malfunctioned, then you will get the information that you require. Meanwhile, I will roll for the pilot. And let me know what you guys get and all that good stuff, because I'm not always looking at the chat. And who wants to roll for the ship to assist the pilot?
I'll roll.
Okay. It's going to be engines and con. And, alright, so as Lieutenant Commander Zen is looking at the console, you would see that the ship is pretty much on the verge of abandoned ship plan. You probably the structure and the shields are about 10%. The structure is about to collapse probably in the next 5 minutes or so. Warp core is not breached, however, with the structure and the shields as low as they are, it won't be long before the warp core is breached. Are you going to report that to your EXO?
Sir, we still have shields, we still have our warp core, but it's not going to be much longer before we're going to need to abandon ship.
Understood.
Who was the other one you ordered?
So the other one was for Lieutenant Merck to begin preparing to fire the torpedoes at a long-range target. I believe if efforts, especially since we're doing evasive maneuvers, which makes us harder to hit, but also makes it harder for us to shoot, preparing a shot will make it easier later on.
Okay. So
you've already seen me desperately going through ship combat rules.
So yeah, the pilot swoops the Akira class vessel to and fro. Let's see. There it is. And as the Mac, if you would like to roll control and security, or reason and security to prepare a salvo or a phaser spread, I'm going to actually roll for the enemy ship as it is their turn. Unless somebody has quick to action, then
Sure.
You got 2 successes. Okay, so it was going to be it was going to be a 3. Now it is a 2 difficulty to hit. Let me roll for the enemy vessel. All right. They do not hit because of your evasive maneuvers. You have locked on with the difficulty 2. If you wish, Commander Tiberdun, you may order to fire and see what happens.
Okay. If it comes back around, if it's our turn again,
is.
I understand that every single post at the bridge can do at least one thing. Am I right in saying that?
Yep. You could also, and this is so. You could, if your character, for example, if you're a science officer or a medical officer or an engineer, and you're like you literally can't do anything because you're in the middle of about to die, you can pass to somebody else.
So here are my plans. Although if out of character people want to do something else, let me know, and I can do a sort of time warp and edit what I say. But I'll start with Tiberdun doing the rally action to generate extra momentum for us. And so he'll address the bridge and say, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is an Akira class. I intend to show these people exactly why it has its legendary reputation. None of you are going to let Starfleet down by this, are you? No, we can't sully the reputation of the Akira here." That would be a presence in command with a difficulty of 0 to generate momentum.
Nice.
So...
And is that the action, or is that like a assist or something?
So no, that's an action I do to generate momentum for everybody else to use for their various tasks.
Okay. Yeah, because I think technically you haven't gone yet because you didn't roll yet. So yeah, that would be fine.
Cool.
Consider me inspired, so.
So that's 2 momentum.
2 momentum. Who's keeping track of momentum? Is that Nostra or Mac? Or everybody?
Well, so many people doing it at once. Everybody.
That's fine.
I apologize.
I'd rather a bunch of people do it than nobody. All right, so you've got 2 momentum, and so who's going next? Or is that your action? Because I don't think rally allows other.
So rally. No, rally is Tiberdun's action. He's got orders to give to various other people, and I've got something in my mind for everyone in the bridge. The next one up being Commander Nile, unless Z has anything he already has in mind and wanting to do.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So the next one would be, Commander Nile, we need to do something about their targeting sensors. See if you can arrange us to jettison something that will help confuse their targeting.
Very well, sir. I'm gonna try and look around if there, like, wherever my station is, if there is something that we could probably use in this case.
Well, yeah, the easiest thing would probably be like your cargo bay is full of debris and useless stuff. You could just jettison, and it could become jetsam that they kind of think, oh, that derelict shuttle is actually, them trying to escape, and they can go after that. Yeah, so pretty much any part of your ship can just be jettisoned, and they would attack it. instead of you.
Okay, then let's go for let's go for the cargo. Whatever we have in the cargo bay that can be jettisoned.
All right. Go ahead and make a control and science roll or engineering, either one of those. Difficulty 1.
Science.
Of course.
All right. Let's see. Yeah, okay. I don't think I have a focus for this. Difficulty 1, you said, right? So yeah, should be doable. Oh, I assume I'm doing this. I'm doing this with computers of some sort. So I guess that focus could work. Computers focus.
And if someone wants to assist with the ship, it'll be computers and engineering or science.
That's a 1.
Nice. So the ship is going to fire at some random shuttles and cargo containers.
Yep.
And hits them. Confused, it momentarily is tracking that debris before it turns and tries to head back towards you guys.
Fantastic. In that case, a brief little note to Lieutenant Augustine, prepare to receive casualties. Lieutenant Commander Zen, please prioritize restoring shields. Lieutenant Merck, fire when ready.
Alright. Merc, you want to roll control security, and someone roll weapons security for the ship to assist. You need one more. You need the ship
Weapon
to assist.
security, correct?
Yep, you need the ship to assist, or it is a fail.
Very well.
Wait, no. I think phasers is difficulty 1, isn't it? Or is it difficulty 2? No, torpedoes is difficulty 2.
We prepped the torpedoes as well,
Did
so
get
yeah.
2 successes though.
Oh,
so
you did prep the
good.
torpedoes? Okay, so you get 1 momentum, and torpedoes hit. Someone roll the damage for torpedoes on the ship, which I probably did not put on. So let me check.
It's there for 7.
There. Yep.
Like normal.
Oof.
That seems like too many dice, but okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say no.
Well, so when you're dealing with the character sheet for Roll20, you don't have to put the security rating in. So it's going to be security plus something, and then you don't have. So if it's 3 and plus security, you don't have to put the. You just put 3. So I think someone put security plus whatever. But we'll go ahead and say, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the torpedoes hit, and it basically is now adrift. Its engines are down, and its weapons are down. However, it's not destroyed.
Starfleet, we don't kill helpless targets.
So they're going to
Well
go,
done, Lieutenant Merck.
and they're just going to move closer. And now it's your turn.
Okay. Well, I have further ideas, but does anybody else want to suggest anything?
Who hasn't gone yet?
Nope. So far of the PCs, the Chief Medical Officer under Nostra has yet to go. I don't know what our casualty situation is like in this simulation.
Is it possible if I could try to roll for the simulated casualties?
Yeah, that'd be daring and medicine, and this will be to see if you lose anyone in your care, essentially.
Got it.
Oh, you do. Actually, yeah,
Not good. The damages are taking a lot of casualties.
And the ship continues to rock as you try to do your first aid on these people. You end up saving 2 holographic crew members, but the third, a Bolian engineer, looks up to you and reaches for your shoulder and says, "Tell my brother," and then he dies. At that moment, the other ship moves in, the ship that's close to you opens fire. Wrong character sheet.
How successful were we at regenerating the shields?
The engineer can roll control engineering to do that. I'm pretty sure that's a task roll.
It is. It's page 224. Regenerating shields task roll. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, because I think you told them at the same time that you told the medical officer, so only one could go. All right. So they are going to hit. So your shield. Let me look at your character sheet, and this is going to be a holographic. Yeah. So your shields go up to about 20%. However, as the shields go up to 20%, a plasma beam emits from the closest vessel, striking your bow at directly, bringing your shields down to 15%.
Okay.
What do you do next?
No breach yet.
No breach yet. Well, besides the ones that have already happened. You do
I
have
know,
breaches, but those are past breaches. That's for past you to worry
Those are
about.
past breaches. Okay. Tiva Dunn thinks that this plan so far is working, and so he will say, hang on, just going over to everybody's notes. Okay. Good work, Lieutenant Commander Zen. Continue to prioritize working on the shields. Lieutenant Merck, switch over to phasers and target one of the non-immobilized craft still attacking us at your leisure.
Do you want to use the direct task?
Yes, I'm just looking that up.
Yeah, basically, if you choose the security officer, you just roll presence and command, and that assists their role, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, determined by the CEO. Assists this task using command. Okay.
So it's a single dice.
Yeah, you roll the single dice, but it will assist the control security that Merc is about to roll, and someone can roll weapons for the ship. You did not assist. Apparently, Merc was going to do that anyway. However, you do got a momentum, so add 1 momentum to whatever you guys at. And was that torpedoes or phasers?
That was phasers because they're at medium range.
So you plus another momentum, so that's 2 momentum. So basically, the phasers hit it point blank, and you can tell it did some damage to the ship, but it did not take out its weapons or engines just yet. Don't forget to add another momentum to that 4, unless you already did. And now they're going to go. They're going to open fire. Actually, you know what? They are going to move to flank you as the other one moves forward. And now it is your go again.
Okay, well, we still got shield regeneration order up.
Yep, shield. You for every you have to roll for each time, right, to regenerate shields?
Oh yeah, we do. Okay. Yeah.
So if you want to go ahead, if you want to order that, that's fine. And that'll be another difficulty 1 roll. And I'm just, as far as shields go, I'm just keeping track of it in my head, how it makes sense, because you guys started at a deficit, so it doesn't make sense to like go mess up that character sheet that you're going to need later. So, but yeah, go ahead and roll control and engineering if you want to fix shields again, because you might need it. All right. Do you want to add that success and instead of bringing it up to 20%, bring it up to 25%?
I would recommend this.
Okay. Also, if someone could roll to assist with the ship, it would be, I would say structure and engineering, and that might give you another 5% in shields. Whoever is rolling for ship. There you go. Yep, you're at 30%. However, now they are going to attack. Let's see.
So right as they attack, can can one of us take an action like at the same time and sort of reciprocate? Is that possible?
So it basically goes back and forth. So like you guys go as players collectively, meaning the commander decides who goes next, damage control or shooting or whatever. So then one player would go on your side, and then they would go based on their scale. So their scale is a scale 4, so they essentially have 4 times that they could go in the time that you guys have 5. And then it restarts. So basically, since they just fired and hit you, now you can go to kind of retaliate against that, whether that's regenerate shields or fire back or move the ship or whatever you guys want to do.
Okay.
So you're back down to 25%.
Mm-hmm. Back down. 25% is healthy, and what I'm trying to get as many people to do things as is possible. I'm thinking, unless you have a plan, Z. It sounds like you have a plan. What was your plan?
So I wanted to talk to the captain. Captain, what's his name? David? Or Captain Adley, I guess?
He is not on the holodeck at the moment. He is not.
Tiber Dunn, acting captain.
Yeah, Tiber Dunn, acting captain.
So the acting captain, right? That's Tiber, right? Yeah,
Yep.
Tiber. So, Captain, what if we station ourselves between the ones on our left and on our center? So, for instance, right here, if you are looking at the hex.
Yep, I can see it.
And as soon as they fire, we and this is going to be quite risky. We deactivate shields and we warp to a different location. This should hit both of them at the same time, or they should hit each other as they fire at us, thinking
Nice.
that we are there.
And I will go ahead and tell the chief engineer, as he's saying that, you think that if you tried to go to warp now, that would actually breach your warp core.
Sir, I have to caution against going to warp because our warp core might go critical if we try this now.
I appreciate your creativity, Commander Nile, but it may be a little too risky in this scenario. However, I shall utilize a version of it. Helm, take us in between those two craft, and then sharp turn down. And I'm fluffing this as attack pattern, but maybe they'll also fire at one another.
Could be. I tell you what, if you
Indeed.
if
what
you
I'm going to try and do
Yep, go ahead.
is, I do apologise, tell me
No,
if
you're
that is to use I'm probably going to use insight. Yes, I'm going to use an insight command because it's an insight into how these ships are behaving as a captain to create an advantage to make it easier for that to happen.
Okay. Go ahead and roll Insight Command. Difficulty is going to be 2. It would be 1, but you're not really sure how these people operate just in general, so it's a difficulty 2.
Okay. I'm going to consume 1 threat and 1 momentum to roll 4 dice.
Well,
Excellent.
3 successes, so you get 1 momentum back. And yep, if you think that if you tell your pilot to go at so your impulse engines are at like half, but if you tell your pilot to push them to as far as they can go, head in the direction that Z was talking about, and then just suddenly like dive down or up, either one, but probably down, then they will most likely hit themselves, or at the very least it will distract them enough that you guys can get another hit in.
Make it so.
All right. Someone roll engines and con, and I will roll for Skycat, which is a randomized name, by the way, just saying.
Engines and con?
Engines and con, yep. Difficulty is 2, and you guys get a momentum. You guys get in between them, dive downward, and now they're going to fire. Let's see. If they get 2 successes, if they succeed in hitting, they will hit each other. If they fail at hitting, then they fail to hit each other. Let me roll the assist for the ship. Oh wow. Yep. So one of them is just completely destroyed by the plasma cannon on their vessel, and the other one is kind of damaged, but not as bad as the one that's adrift. So this one is going to kind of make its way back towards you again. All right, so it's back to you guys.
Okay. Well, what I'm thinking, unless anybody else has any suggestions they want to make out of character, is to take advantage of our strong shields and now superior position and say, Ensign Skycat, attack pattern Delta 3. Lieutenant Merc, fire weapon of choice at surviving mobile target when ready.
All right, control and security for Merc, and someone roll the assist for weapons and security for the ship. Nice. Uh-oh. Okay, sorry, I'm looking at messages. Yep, so that's down to, that gives you 2 more momentum. I should be mean and be like, those are hollow momentum. Once you leave the holodeck, they don't count. But no, you, and you said torpedoes, right? You said torpedoes?
Weapon of choice. It was security officer's choice.
Mac, which weapons did you fire?
Torpedoes.
Nice. So yeah, you fire them right out the rear launcher, they hit, and the ship is destroyed. Now you just got the one ship to deal with. Z, I'm going to make a request. Go ahead and make a sensors roll, reason and science, or security, but science is probably what you'll choose, to determine the condition of this vessel, which is seemingly adrift and harmless.
I'll use computers again then. As focus.
Ooh.
Oh.
You guys 7 momentum. Do y'all want to use it to get rid of the complication?
Yeah, let's lose that. Yeah.
All right. Do
It
you?
is hollow momentum.
Well, here's. I don't know.
For
Hold
hollow
on.
complication.
Hold on. So my homebrew, which I kind of stole for someone else, way of getting rid of momentum, getting rid of threat is twofold. You can either spend 2 momentum like usual to get rid of it, or you can re-roll it, spending only 1 momentum, but you have to increase the complication range by 3. Which would you rather do?
Just spend 2.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So you detect. You don't get momentum from that 2 roll though. The 2 successes. You detect that as you guys are approaching it, the engines are going critical, and you are about 5 seconds from catching an explosion to the face.
Maximum impulse. Goes to safe distance.
All right. Helm turns the ship about just as the other ship begins to go critical and explode, and the ship goes to warp. The holodeck, as soon as the ship goes to warp, the holodeck kind of fades back to its normal yellow grid, and you guys are standing now on a flat plane of black and yellow. As soon as this happens, you hear the operations manager, Ensign Foster, from the bridge saying, bridge to Commander Tiber done. We are 4 hours from the Sina system. Captain Thomas wants all... Captain Radley, because I changed his name, wants all senior staff in the briefing room in 30 minutes, sir. Details on the upcoming mission have been uploaded, and all are expected to be up to speed on their portion of the report by then.
Just tap that, acknowledged, and then before he goes about his task, though, he'll turn to the various senior crew assembled and say, first of all, it's good to not have to speak quite so boldly in the bridge command voice, but also a note of congratulations. We had good work there. We got a little bit, shall I say, a little bit unfortunate in the early stages, but we learned quite quickly. Lieutenant Commander Zen, I think we've learned that from the amount of battle damage we took, that at a later date, though not before we go about this mission, we're going to require some review of the battle damage control and repair procedures. Will you be in a position to do that?
Once I get the hollow smoke out of my lungs, sir.
Excellent. But most of us survived. in the Hollow scenario. Lieutenant Augustin, I noted that there were some slight issues regarding battle casualties and treatment. Is there any extra resourcing or equipment you would like to request?
You're muted, Nostra.
Fuck, sorry.
It's alright.
Yes, it seems so. From the hollow simulation of the situation at hand, it seems that the resources were not comparable to what we currently have already. That is somewhat of a disconcerting notion. Had it been more accurate, there would have been more likely I would have been able to save as much as possible, but...
I see. Well, I will make sure that the Hollow program is reviewed, Lieutenant. And Lieutenant Merck, very well done. Good shooting. How did you find the targeting systems for the rapid torpedo launcher?
It seems like it's adequate for its class.
Excellent. And Commander Nile, good work on the chaff work. That was some nice improvisation. Do you have any feedback on the Akira's sensors?
They seem to be working quite well. I am kind of disappointed that you didn't take my advice. It would have looked cooler, but of course.
You think he smiles. It's difficult to tell with the beak. You think he smiles, just a little. And says, indeed, it would have been something I think a Klingon might have preferred. It would have been a glorious death.
Indeed.
Very good. Well, as you may have been already contacted or overheard from the Hail to Me, all senior staff are expected to be familiar with their briefs for an all-staff meeting in 30 minutes. I suggest you all return to your normal stations and become familiar with that. Should there be any questions, or if any of you require any clarification before that meeting, please feel free to contact me.
Thank you, Captain.
Dismissed. Oh, but no, if Lieutenant Augustine was going to say something, say that before he dismisses.
I do not believe I would say anything else.
Okay.
So what I would like you guys to do now is, starting with Edgeford, since you're the senior officer, as your character leaves the holodeck and is walking wherever he's walking down the corridor, kind of describe for the, if we have an audience, for the audience that might be watching, +1 momentum, by the way, we have a viewer. So you guys just kind of describe your character, describe maybe a bit of history that the other player characters would know them about them, you know, species, how long they've been on the ship, who they're close to as far as like NPCs or PCs, stuff like that, just general information. So take it away.
Okay. Well, Commander Tiber Dunn, XO of the ship, is a relatively tall Aurelian. He is, rather than the sort of standard gold bird that you often see, he's very much white and grey, slightly mottled feathers, brown patches in there. He doesn't look as elegant as your average Aurelian. He does everything he can to try and keep that prim and in line with the uniform, but every now and again a feather drops off, maybe a bit of age, maybe a bit of stress. He came up through the security branch, and he moves and walks and talks quite a bit like it. And in terms of his closeness, he's probably not so far too personally close to any of the crew, though he has no objection to that. It's just a matter of time and opportunity. The one he probably spends the most time with is Lieutenant Merck, because one of the important elements of TV Dunn's backstory that's known to everyone is he's very much climbed up through the ranks by being the person who survives tragedies and the person who gets crew out of tragedies. So in his role as XO, he's very much on the away missions. and he's very much working with Lieutenant Merck in here's how you, either in starship combat or on the ground, save the crew's lives, get people out alive, help evade the enemy if we're on the ground, those sorts of things. And that in a crisis, it's probably going to be you who has to step into the breach.
All right, so thank you for that. Next, second officer by determination of because of his rank, Commander Ren Nial, assuming that's how you pronounce it.
Yep, sure. Right, Niall is an Efrosian. He was raised in an isolated colony owned by the Klingons, which of course you've already guessed by his actions. He is, however, he lived in a colony owned by the Klingons, not the same Klingons as the ones that fought the Enterprise, or rather the Federation, but the ones that were allied with the Federation. So he's always had a soft spot for the Federation itself. He's always been in a community of sorts because of the isolated colony itself. So he's also cautious of outsiders whenever he comes across them. He has somewhat of an ego, as you've witnessed, and but he is otherwise quite dedicated and quite creative with his ideas and whatnot. Of course, he's a science officer, as you've already known. He's quite old. He might not look like it, but he spent quite a lot of time in the service, and he is so he's also interacted with other cultures, with other species, and whatnot. But he has not worked with this crew before, so this is a new experience for him. And that's more or less it.
All right, Lieutenant Commander Enola Zen.
Right. So Lieutenant Commander Enola Zen, if I can even say her name right, is a joint trill. She's getting up there in years, but that doesn't mean that she still doesn't know how to fix an engine or two. And then she has a tendency to, if things thankfully didn't get this bad on the holodeck, but if things go bad, she tends to start using more fisticuff kind of methods to just get things to work. Some of that comes also just from, yes, she's very percussive with her maintenance at times. And some of that also comes from too, just kind of during her career, she had a great invention that she came up with during the middle of a conflict, and some of that came from breaking something apart and cobbling it back together. And then she's also just had her share of firefights over the years, so she's just kind of a bit more rough around the edges. However, that's Enola's side. As far as Zen goes, Zen can kind of help calm her down and bring her into a more Zen place, if we want to go with that. So I guess as far as how long she's been serving here, I mean, she's in her 40s, so who knows, but probably, I mean, she's mostly in engineering anyway, so if she's been around for a while, most people probably don't really know. So.
Cool. All right, Lieutenant Merck, tell us about your Vulcan security chief.
Basically, Lieutenant Merck's been in it for quite a long time. You would know he's Vulcan by his pointy ears. That gives it away.
Yeah.
And he's you find that he actually doesn't have shows his emotions because that often, and he usually tries to keep to himself unless somebody wants to talk to him. And yeah, he's a quite reserved person.
Is he from Vulcan or another colony?
Oh, he's from the homeworld.
Okay.
Vulcan.
All right. And next would be Lieutenant Carl Augustin, the Chief Medical Officer.
A rather recent addition to the USS Geneva, aside from the Ansons. He's actually a part Ocampa, part human individual, though I haven't been able to actually flesh out the concept, but he had to deal with his fair share of a lot of tragedies when it comes to his line of work. that it kind of resulted in a few cases of survivor's guilt here and there, but no, for him, his are actually really, how do I say this? Rather quick to pick up on a lot of aspects, even though, well, he isn't the chief medical officer. I know I'm terrible at explaining things, but
It's okay. I did notice that he was a friend to the Remans. How did that come about?
yeah, my brain just stopped working.
It's okay. You can.
You're muted.
Oh yeah.
You're muted.
Sorry, I was asking you about the Reman aspect of it. I noticed it said he was friends of the Remans. How did that come about?
It actually it was quite the peculiar result in one of his previous stations. Well, before a few tragedies occurred, that they actually, how do I say this? Like, shit, I can't really explain. Like, I know, like, there's definitely something that the crew, especially himself, actually did help the Remans out to the point of having this kind of reputation. Though
I do have
as I said, I haven't been able to have time to flesh out.
Oh no,
things.
you're fine. One thing I could suggest, and you feel free to not use it. So this is roughly 6 years after the incident at the Bassin Rift with Picard and Shinzon, and when the Remans basically revolted against the Romulans. In one of my timelines, in one of my universes, the Romulans after that basically blockaded the Reman world of Remus and would not allow any supplies in or out, and basically forced them to become like refugees. You could have something like that where he attempted to help the Remans against the Romulans if you wanted to.
I'll take that.
All right, and maybe that will come up for some reason in today's game, maybe through conversation or whatever. So you guys are heading down now. Take your tokens if you can. Hopefully you're able to access your tokens and move them to where you want them to be. I'll have the captain at the head of the table. What are you laughing at? What'd I miss?
One of the officers just took the chair after I synced.
Oh, someone's fighting over. Is it musical chairs? Someone's fighting over chairs.
Yes, it's musical chairs.
All right.
Yes.
So in the briefing room, once you guys get there, probably 30 minutes later, Ensign Skycat turns to everybody and as she takes her seat and says, ETA to the sinus system is 3.5 hours, sir. And Captain Radley nods and he kind of leans forward and says, the Geneva is tasked with investigating subspace signal broadcasting from the Sinus solar system. He turns expectantly to his science officer. So I'll let you take it away, Z, with your report.
Okay. Right. So this is the report that we just had, right?
So everybody should be able, and I'm sorry I should have told you guys this earlier, but I've completely forgot. At the top, there's handouts for everybody. Each person has a report that they just got to look at, interpret, and then basically recite to the rest of the crew.
Okay. Right. So, Sina 2. Well, it is an Earth-like world. It very much looks like Earth. It has water, it has land, and it is quite blue. It has certain radii, mass, density, gravity, a lot of details that you don't really need to care about. However, there is a team that has been set up, a covert team, anthropologist as well as cultural, and it's been sent by the Federation in 2030 to study the alien society from that world. It is what appeared to be, it had a level of society that is equal to early 21st century North America. There are some other numbers, including mean surface temperature, as well as natural satellites. There is one moon, and that is what we know about it so far. If you would like to look at the numbers to care about, you can, of course, look at this. And you can see, like, at this point, sorry, out of character. At this point, you can see the Ephrosion basically not entirely interested in the numbers. He's more of a like hands-on kind of guy.
Right.
So that's why he skips a lot of this stuff.
Captain Radley nods and says, yes, 2330 and that general era for the Federation was an interesting time. The cowboy diplomacy of the late 2200s was winding down, and we were getting to know our neighbors a bit better, especially the Cardassians. We sent some anthropological research teams to various worlds and colonies and just to study, and sometimes we had to send them under the guise of deception by hiding them in plain sight or through a cloaked duck blind. And then he turns to the chief engineer expectantly. I'll keep using that.
The chief engineer has her own pad of information, and she's interpreting it as she goes as well. Right, and I know that, I don't know, I don't really have much memory of most of what has happened in this colony before, sir, but, and she's out of character, she's talking about her previous host, with wherever Zen was before. Anyway, but we have the subspace signal that we had received from them, but we are uncertain of what source on the planet would have been able to produce this signal, because the way that our team was projecting that their warp level would not be at that by the year 2330, they would not be at warp capabilities. And yet somehow we have this signal. In fact, the current projected warp level would just be the NX prototype. So it's rather odd that they would have the advancements in order to send out a signal. If I were to guess, is probably why we are being asked to go and investigate, sir.
Stolen technology, I might suggest.
The captain nods, says that is possible. Somebody could be helping them. The location of Sina 2 is isolated from Federation, Romulan, Klingon, and Cardassian space, well enough away from everybody else. So if there is somebody helping them, or if they did steal the technology from someone else, then they'd have to go out of their way to do it. And then he turns to his security chief for their report, expectantly.
The security chief looks at his data pad and says, in July 2330, the Sun and 2 civilians inadequately discovered the Federation scientists and cloaked duck line. Plus, the government assumed that the scientist was a spy from a rival nation. Plus, once they figured out that the scientist was a alien, they demanded the scientists. They ordered them off world. So I think it may be due to that we're getting caught in.
The captain nods to you and turns to his executive officer and say, "What is the diplomatic status of Sina 2 at the moment?"
The diplomatic status of Sina 2 at the moment is not entirely clear. After the incident that our security chief just referred to, now ordered off planet, a different ship from the 4th Fleet arrived in 2330 to collect the scientists. The commanding officer of that ship informed the government of Sina 2 that the United Federation and Starfleet was, of course, only interested in peaceful contact, and that once their civilization had sufficiently advanced, friendly contact between us could perhaps happen again. To the best of my knowledge, Captain, there has been no further diplomatic contact since this event. The subspace message may be a means of, or signal, may be a means of getting our attention, but that would be presumptuous. And then, unless it looks as though is the captain sort of poised to say anything further or ask any further officers for any further reports?
Not at the moment. However, you would have the same information regarding the current mission that he does. So
Okay.
you could continue if you want.
Fair enough. At the moment, our mission is to investigate the subspace signal emanating from that system and determine if these people are ready for first contact.
If I may interrupt,
Of course.
you mentioned that the team was ordered off world. What happened to their technology?
The captain says the starship that picked them up took everything with them, including the materials used to create the duck blinds. There should be nothing left there besides footprints.
I see. So
Unless
it's
they
not our
copied it
technology.
before it was. Well, it could be. They could have taken copies, as best as they know, before handing over the originals, or attempted some form of reverse engineering before handing
And
over.
if they
had time.
If they had assumed that the Federation scientists were spies, they might have interrogated them for any technological advantages.
Quite so. Lieutenant Commander Zen, have you been able to cooperate perhaps with Commander Niall in any analysis of the signal and if there may be some form of message or significant pattern within it?
Not yet, sir, but we can get on that. Kind of looks at
Sounds like a
everybody
good
else,
idea.
and we're like, yeah, let's do that.
The captain nods to the group and then turns to the chief medical officer and says, assuming we end up having to go back down there and initiate some kind of secret contact with their government, what is the status of the species? What do they look like? Would it be easy to blend in?
Well, examining the medical report data from PADD, they seem rather indistinguishable from human beings, yet their physiology, when compared to the average biological physiology that has been recorded, they are completely different. However, there has been some form of notes involving their blood being in a purplish color, yet, however, the rest of the information I have not been able to fully acquire, aside from the information I've gathered above.
Captain nods. Very well.
Yet, in conclusion, it would be better to not scanned in, or simply be examined to blend in.
Very well. If we arrive and they are in the early stages of a warp society, we will try to contact their government to establish official first contact. If not, if somebody has stolen a subspace device or whatever the case may be, then their government is still unaware of extraterrestrials, then we will have to send down a way team to determine the location and the source of this subspace signal. And he looks over to Commander Tiber Dunn and says, you'll be leading the away team if that's the case. He looks around the table and says, so I would like you to think on who you'd like with you. We aren't sure about the atmosphere or the composition of the environment or any extraterrestrial celestial bodies that may be causing any kind of interference besides the subspace signal. But assume that we will have to take a shuttle down rather than transport, just in case, and make your plans accordingly, First Officer.
Thank you, sir. I shall get on that immediately.
And the captain looks around and says, do we have any questions? All right, dismissed. And he stands up.
I will raise my hand. One last question, Captain.
He sits back down.
If it's not too much trouble. From a chief medical's perspective, when the crew was retrieved from that planet, were there any signs of them being tortured in any way?
My apologies as a GM. I should have told the chief medical officer this.
Yeah, you never fucking told me.
That's because there did not seem to be any physical effects of the away team or of the expedition that had been on that planet. So it seems like some citizens found them. The government found out, then the government isolated them from the public, and then the ship came and picked them up. That seems to be the extent of it.
It seemed that for most of it, they were mostly just quarantined.
Very well. Thank you. That is
Actually,
all.
Captain, I do have one additional question.
Yes.
And she kind of turns also to our security chief, just in case Merck's pad said more. But this signal, I know that the Federation accepted it. Do you think is it possible that the Romulans or the Klingons or some other faction may have received this signal as well? I can't tell from what I have here whether it was encoded, just specifically to Federation or something else.
The captain
That could help us
actually
determine where it came from.
the captain actually says, well, the subspace signal is just a ping. It wasn't any kind of message. It was just basically as if someone was tapping on a door, seeing if anything or anyone out there answered. And because the distance away from the Klingon and Romulans, we do believe that the Federation were the first to encounter the signal.
Okay, so not specifically encoded to Federation.
No, it's just
could have implied that it was stolen Federation technology.
Correct. It's just a signal being beamed out to see if anybody is going to answer. At least that is the assumption that we're making, since we can't find any actual message in it.
Having heard that, Commander Tibadon will turn to Ensign Skycat and say, Ensign Skycat, assuming that the other powers have received this message, as the Lieutenant Commander alluded to, and assuming that ships of the line are posted relatively close to their borders, how many days or hours are we likely to be undisturbed if other nations are sending ships to investigate the same signal?
She kind of looks up a bit, thinks for a few moments, and then says, well, if they detected the same signal roughly the same time we did, then we have about a week's head start on them.
Very good. Thank you, Anson.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? The captain asks, looking around.
It's not what the commander will say. Well, yes, the commander will say to that is no, sir. Though I would be grateful if I could discuss matters with Lieutenant Augustine just after this meeting.
Okay, so we'll just say that he says dismissed, and then you two can stay in the conference room while everyone else kind of files out to the bridge.
It'll only take a minute. Yeah, Commander Tibadon, he sort of shuffles around in his chair slightly and says, Lieutenant, these people have already successfully gotten past cloaked observation blind. We must assume that was by talent and technology rather than by dumb luck. It may be, if we are to have any kind of infiltration, that non-stealthed but surgically altered personnel may be required. Are you in a position to do preparatory work for cosmetic surgery on an away team to camouflage them? There are more humanoid members, of course. And he sort of shifts awkwardly in his chair, and his big wings that he's kind of got tucked, they pop out and then they fall back around the side, and says, I'm not sure that I will ever be able to quite blend normally into humanoid society. I was born on Earth and I still can't get a hang of the chairs.
No. I will admit I may be rather hesitant in terms of altering the physicalities of the humanoid away team, but
Cosmetic only, but if you do feel it is inappropriate or unsafe, simply say.
with a slight scratch to one of the additional folds of skin on his ears, he was practically taking things into consideration. So We would have to know the alternative options in case the surgical option is unavailable or impossible to enact. Possible.
Of course. Of course. Well, I shall leave you to your preparations and study for that and your other work, Lieutenant. He'll leave.
All right. On the bridge, Z, if you could go ahead and make a long-range scan, reason and science difficulty 2. The captain is going to kind of go over with you, and he is actually going to assist since he was a science officer before he was a captain.
Okay. Reason and science, you said, right?
Yep.
Difficulty 2. Okay.
He's going to assist with presence and science as he assists you in narrowing the bandwidth of the sensor array.
Right. I'll use the talent computer expertise, since we
Okay.
are working with computers anyway.
And can someone roll for the ship? Sensors and science. 1 dice.
I'll buy 1 momentum, or take 1 momentum, buy 1 die.
Cool.
So that's 3.
Nice. So that's 4. So that plus 2 momentum. So you should be back up to 7. Is anyone rolling for the
Sensors
ship?
and science, you said.
Yep, sensors and science, if anyone wants to roll for the ship.
Science.
Alright, so you've got full momentum at 8. You are able to see a general... I will actually move you to that page so you can see it. So this is just what the solar system looks like. The sun, it looks like just a normal sun. This planet here is just a planet that is barren and lifeless. Sina 2, which is misspelled because this was before I changed it, is here. At your current distance, that's pretty much all you're able to determine. Once you get a bit closer, you'll be able to do more effective long, medium, and short-range scans. But you are able to determine from there that there are no starships, at least of your caliber, anywhere near them. In other words, there's no NX ships, there's no alien, Klingon, Romulan ships, nothing.
Alright, I'll relay this information.
Okay. What were you going to say, Edgeford?
Okay, I was about to say. Thank you, Commander. How close do you believe we would need to be to accurately determine any satellites or orbital structures that may or may not exist?
I'd say medium range
Yep.
would be a good idea. And of course, there's also the possibility, which we don't know of yet, that there might be hidden ships that we can't detect. Just saying, just mentioning it.
Yep.
So far, we have no scans of that, but it might just be hiding from our sensors.
He nods and says, he turns to the captain, essentially with a sort of, with your permission, Captain?
Make it so.
Very well. Take us to medium range for scans, and Helm, navigate as best you can to obfuscate our presence from any sensors that may be present by using the stellar geography to our advantage, planetary shadows, etc.
Yes, sir. ETA 3 hours, and she makes the appropriate adjustments. Can I get an engines and con roll as an assist from the ship? You will need at least 1 more success to successfully do that second part of avoiding contact with or being seen or detected by other vessels or satellites.
And did you say that was sensors and...
Engines and con. Or actually,
Engines and con.
make it sensors and con, because you got to do a navigational scan to do all that.
Okay, fantastic. And the ship can't spend momentum, can it? Or can it?
What was that? The ship do what?
Can the ship spend momentum?
No, because it's only assisting. You can't do that when you're assisting.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
When the ship takes over as an intelligent AI, then it can make its own decisions.
We have bigger things to worry about.
Speaking of which, I cannot wait until you get to that point in the main campaign and you have an AI just running the ship. That's going to be fun. All
Yep.
right. So you don't get any momentum, but you have successfully, basically, as you're coming in, you find like an asteroid field that you're able to go through. Then you go back to warp, and then you like find like a nebula. You go in there for a few minutes, then you come out. Like it'll be really, really. The only way anyone would be able to look for you is if they had already knew where you were and were tracking you and were probably following you. The likelihood of that is like less than 1% though, because you started in the Federation space. So. Yeah, that's the best that I can give you, but you are pretty sure that you are going to make it there unseen and undetected. All right. So, does anyone want to do anything or prepare for anything before you guys arrive, or otherwise I'm going to jump ahead 3 hours and you guys are going to arrive?
Unless Commander Niall does not really... Zen and Niall could work on trying to see if there's any coding in that subspace message. That's the only thing that Zen would be doing.
I'll go ahead and tell you without a roll that there isn't none. It's just literally like a ping, like sending a signal out there for someone to detect it. And in the way, and I will tell you this though, the way that it was done, it started. And then it stopped for a few hours, and then it started again, and now it's continuous. So it's like someone started it, and then maybe thought better of it, turned it off, and then turned it back on, and now it's a continuous signal. So that's the best you're going to get. Any further sensor scan would have to be done at closer range, which means the 3-hour time jump that I was mentioning.
Right.
And then the helmsman's orders would be to stop you guys before you get to the actual solar system, so you can actually make scans as you go rather than showing up at their planet. Sure. I don't know what any of that means, but okay.
That's how you ping devices.
You damn tech people! Look, I didn't mean techies, trekkies, literally.
It's in real life.
One personal momentum there.
No. Oh man. Anyway, all right. So, other than that, is there anything that anyone else wants to do before we get there? No. Okay. 3 hours passes. You guys arrive. I will actually show you. You're here, obviously. You can get an effective short-range scan to about here, but you'll have to move an ineffective short-range scan about here. But if you want to get any more effective scans, you'd have to get a bit closer. So as you guys come out of warp, the pilot looks over his shoulder to the first officer and the captain and says, "We've arrived at the Sinus solar system, sir." And the captain looks over to the science officer and says, "Make those short and medium range scans."
Very well, Captain. All right.
So yeah, that's
Same
reason
scan,
and
right?
science. Yep, same thing. Difficulty. Yep. What was the difficulty before? 2? I think it was 2.
2.
Yep. So difficulty here is going to be scaled. So basically, if you get 1 success, you can determine everything correctly here. If you get 2 successes, it'll be here. If you get 3 successes, you'll get to the effective medium range scan. If you get 4 successes, you'll get past the sun. If you get 5 successes, you'll get the Sina 2, which is the goal.
All right. I will spend 3 momentum, buy 3 dice, so raise it up to 5. And
Yeah,
let's see
I
what we
gotta
get.
go. My mom fucking called me and started shouting at me like, "Oh, you gotta pick up this. Oh, you gotta pick up that." And she always fucking calls at the worst possible moment.
I'm
Bye,
sorry.
guys.
All right, see ya. We'll save your spot for you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Later.
See, catch you later.
That's
I
okay.
hope I can come back in time, but honestly, I
Yeah.
doubt it.
All right. Well,
I'll,
hopefully. See ya.
later.
All right. So
Someone has some back medical training.
yeah. By the way, does anyone have a 4 in medicine? Just wondering. No. Okay. I'll get started on making that character. Let's see.
So that's 5.
Yeah. So you're gonna get you're not going to get like you're not going to be able to determine like exactly where the subspace signal is coming from, but you're going to get really close. Let me just change some things on a character sheet real quick. And whoops, not 44, just 4. There we go. Now your pilot is also basically Tom Paris. So you're not detecting anything useful around the barren planet or the sun. The sun is emitting a different kind of radiation than you guys are useful. It's not just a typical solar radiation that would come from Earth's sun. It is some other kind of radiation that would definitely affect sensors, transporters, shields, and other things. However, as long as you guys like don't encounter a big warship or don't fly in and at the seat of your pants and actually go in slowly and carefully, then everything should still be fine. As far as Sina 4, you're detecting that the subspace signal is definitely coming from that planet. You are detecting one satellite, one natural satellite, a moon, but also a radio satellite. And a telescopic satellite. So this satellite is not like your sensors. Like it can't be able to use sensors and stuff. It's basically like a satellite we have here. It doesn't have sensors. It can do communications and stuff like that. But you also can detect that satellite is not a subspace radio satellite. It is literally just a radio satellite. So it does not have the capability of subspace. So wherever this subspace signal is coming from, it is on the planet or around the planet or on the other side of the planet, but it is not coming from that satellite.
Okay. Two things. First of all, the radiation from the sun. Commander T will turn to our CMO, who is now an NPC, and say, "Do you believe there are going to be any complications for any of our crew for the radiation from that particular star?"
The pilot glances at her console, runs a few scans, says, "It's not that kind of radiation, sir. It mainly just affects impulse engines, shields, sensors, and transporters. It's a kind of subspace radiation that's coming from the sun."
Oh, very good.
Very good. And roughly how many light minutes or hours are we away from the populated planet?
If we're at full impulse, we'll be there in 30 minutes.
Okay, this is where my own lack of... Impulse is sublight, but how close to light does it get?
Honestly, it changes. To me, it's all it's plot related. It's just however you need to get there, that's how long it takes.
The reason why... Tibo will, again, do the best that he can with smiling. He knows humans smile. He's been around them his whole life, but his face is just biologically incapable. It's largely in the eyes. But he'll say... That's not quite what I was driving at, Helmsman. Since we're that close, there may be rather important news stories. Let's listen to the radio.
And you thought I didn't
and
prepare
he wants to just
for that.
listen to yeah, he just wants to listen to essentially the planet's own radio.
You hear a bit of
etc.
static. You hear a bit of static, and then you hear, "And that is all tonight, erudite citizens. Tune in tomorrow morning when we interview the Minister of Erudition about the upcoming administration of justice upon the dire afflictor and his erudite fellow conspirator." This has been Kagor Jedlin of the Channel 42 News, sponsored by Paradigm University. Good night, and learn right. And then it goes off. That's all you're getting.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Indeed. Wow, that is interesting news. We know that they are not expecting any major extraterrestrial activity, or that would be headline news on every station, I imagine. But also, they appear to have a rather major criminal justice incident about to go on, the two may be linked. Okay. And he'll turn to... Oh, sorry, please, carry on.
Hey guys, what about the other side of the planet?
The sensors that you got, the sensor scan that you guys did earlier, are telling you that this planet's metropolis or cities Although they do sprawl across the planet, kind of like ours does on Earth, the major cities, probably the capitals and that, are mostly on this side of facing you. Obviously, the planet is rotating, so give it some time and they'll be on the other side, but you're not detecting any media or radio signals that are coming directly at you from anywhere besides the side of the planet that you're facing. Could be also the things are being blocked by the sun's strange radiation.
Okay. I guess yes, Tibaden will turn to Commander Niall and say, Commander Niall, now that we are closer, are you able to provide any more information on atmosphere, climate, and things that would be required for an away team on the surface to operate safely?
How close do you guys want to get? So I just need to know for token's sake. Are y'all trying to come up on orbit, or are you going to stay a little bit like towards the sun?
I think maybe a little bit towards the sun, but not so as that it's interfering with our own sensors. And then if we need more information, inch closer.
Okay, fair enough. Yep, so go ahead and make another reason and science roll. This one is whoever wants to roll for the ship, roll sensors and science. But this one will be more of a short-range scan directed at Sina 2, so you're more than likely going to be able to get the exact location of the subspace signal.
Okay. Do we know the difficulty? Or
well, it's going to be scaled again. If you get 5
Scaled
successes, you're probably going to be able to read the minds of everyone on the planet. But more than likely, just to get your basic information, the location of the subspace signal and everything like that, it's a difficulty 3.
Okay. By the way, just out of character, all of your cameras have stopped working for me. I'm not sure why.
No, it's
everything's fine on my end.
Yeah, me too. It did that to me earlier when I had a bunch of programs popping up windows and stuff. I don't know why it does that, but it might be a gilded thing, or it could be something wrong with our internet signal or something. I don't know, but it does that occasionally and then it comes back.
Okay. All right. Then I'll get 1 momentum. I'll spend 1 momentum, get 1 die. Let's see where we get. 3.
All right. As you approach, your scans revealed that the civilization is still pre-warp. No warp core or singularity drives or ion drives or anything that would give them light speed or even the technology for light speed. And I don't just mean light speed engines. I mean, you don't detect any kind of subspace radios. You don't detect anything even close to what the Enterprise era Earth had on, the NX starships and all that stuff. It seems that they are definitely not where they should be technologically after 70 years. You narrow down the bandwidth to determine the coordinates of the subspace signal's origin. So you have that in your computer bank now. However, you're also detecting a strange ionization in the atmosphere, possibly a result of the sun, possibly a result of the dangerous, or not dangerous, but the ore from the mountains, as well as some there are some plumes of gas that come from the planet that seem to be also interacting with. So basically, it's like someone took 4 bad things and put them in a soup. So basically, sensors, once you get to a certain point to orbit, if you do start to orbit, then sensors will go. They won't be useless, but they will almost become useless. Transporters is useless. Well, not useless. I would say dangerous.
Right.
And
all right. So I relay all this information, and I'll also additionally say our reports might have been wrong about them having advanced technology, because by the looks of it, they don't really have that yet.
Tibaden sort of leans forward and puts his 2 talons underneath his chin, which kind of presses up slightly strangely, and goes, "I am becoming concerned. as perhaps some speculation on my part, but unusually slow technological growth, no major cities, seemingly on an entire half of the planet, and unusual ionizing atmospheric interference that is not seemingly from the sun. I'm thinking there may have been a major war on the planet that damaged large amounts of the population, devastated half the planet, slowed technological growth, and changed the atmosphere. It may be best if we examine the quiet side of the planet in more detail.
The captain says, Ensign Skycat, put us in a fixed orbit on the opposite side of Cena 2, from a decent distance from satellite and any telescopes that might be aimed in our direction from the planet. And of course, Skycat nods and obeys, and so we're going to have you guys be over here. You're still not going to be seen or detected by anyone on the planet. However, now you're on the other side of the planet, and you're able to, even without sensors, honestly, you could see it from space just looking out a window. There are plumes of gas and smoke coming from what seems to be the crust of the planet. You're also detecting that side of the planet does have cities. However, they are in way worse condition than the other side of the planet. And you're detecting that the ionization is about the same as it is on the other side, indicating that it may be the sun, or it may be the gas, or it could be a combination. But yeah, that's pretty much what you're detecting. However, you are now nowhere near where the subspace signal is located. So you can take a shuttle, go around, or you can try to transport through it. It would be dangerous, but it is possible. It's up to you. He turns to you and says, Commander T. Verdun, take a away team down, find out all you can about the situation, especially regarding the subspace signal, and whether or not these people are sufficiently advanced to warrant first contact. It's up to you to decide if you would like to contact the government first, or go and investigate the subspace signal first. But I'll leave that to your capable hands, or claws, or talons, whatever.
Thank you, sir. He'll turn to Commander Niall and say, Commander Niall, what is the best imagery and information you can get in a style of aerial reconnaissance before our ship has to draw too close of the subspace emitter area?
Niall looks at T. Verdun and he says, well, you could fly over it. I'm kidding. We could, of course, the shuttle is the best way, best possible way, of course. And I would suggest we probably avoid all of the sources of the ionization. If there is indeed a war going on down there, which might have been going on, but our last reports showed that they were involved in a war a long time ago, of course, since the 2300s. Which is interesting if it has taken so long, but we should probably just avoid that at all, if at all possible. And as far as the signal, the ping goes, that will be an issue. I don't see how we can get through to the other side, at least not from here. Without being spotted.
And says, yes, if there was a war, it seems as though it was over and they're in the period of recovery, though it is notable that half the planet is in much worse condition than the other half, which suggests they have not yet got a united single world government, which is often necessary before we make further forms of contact. The emissions and clouds of gas and the various other geological problems that one half of the planet seems to be suffering from. Can you tell if they are volcanic in nature or if there is something else going on?
I can, by the way, make a roll for this?
Yeah, you can make a roll or you can spend a momentum. It's just a difficulty one.
Right. I'll make a roll.
All right. Reason or insight in science.
Okay. That's 3.
All right, plus 2 momentum, so that brings you up to 6. It looks like these holes in the planet are hundreds of years old. Possibly, they definitely didn't happen from any kind of like nuclear weapon or anything. It wasn't the result of a war. You're still unsure 100% of what caused them, but you do know that they are not man-made. Essentially, it could be a tectonic shifting or something like that. It could even mean that the planet is in its death throes, so to speak. But you still have hundreds of years before anything like that would happen, even if that was the case. But basically, it just looks like this planet got the rough end when it came to having a stable tectonic or geological shelf, essentially. And the gases seem to be natural and something that was naturally created in its core and are now being emitted.
Okay. Out of character, would my interpretation of the Prime Directive being correct in that, even though the Prime Directive has already kind of gone out of the window with these guys and that they've had contact several times, since they aren't one world government, they don't have warp technology, etc. If we can get away without having to have any contact with them again, that would be for the best, even though the Prime Directive has already been breached in the past.
So it depends on the subspace signal, really, because it could be like a distress call, or it could just be some experiment gone wrong, or it could be literally anything. As far as the one world government thing, that's pretty much only a thing if they want to join the Federation. You
Join
can't,
the Federation, yeah.
But you could still trade with them and stuff like that. As far as like the previous contact, the government knew 70 years ago about extraterrestrials. They may have kept that from the public, or they may have just forgotten. I mean, over several decades, records get lost and stuff like that. So it could be that they don't even know that extraterrestrials exist, and maybe this subspace signal is just some crazy experiment from that they're trying. But you won't really know much until you physically have contact with them, or at least see what's going on down there. And like I said, the sensors are not giving you much information at the moment besides what you've already gotten.
Feel free to
stolen
please carry on.
Federation technology. It seems like it'd be incumbent on us to go down there and retrieve it.
Yeah, if it was Federation technology. You're not detecting any Federation materials that are commonly used for like ships and stuff, but that could just be like maybe they got a schematic and they literally rebuilt it or something. You don't know yet.
Lieutenant Commander Zen. Oh, no, please carry on.
Sorry, out of character. I'm gonna rejoin just to see if this fixes the cameras.
Okay.
So see you guys in a sec.
All right.
I'll pause for a moment.
Yeah, that happened to me when I was like doing OBS and a bunch of other stuff, and I was like, oh man, what do I do? And then like as soon as I minimized some stuff and went back to it, it fixed it. So I think it's just like it's trying to like catch up with all the bullshit that's going on with people's computers. It's like I don't know what to do.
That's better.
That's better. Okay, good. Yeah. It could just be too many things going on at once or something. But all right. So what were you gonna say, Edward?
Lieutenant Commander Zen, before we risk sending down an away team with all the complications that may bring, are you able to modify a probe to make it as undetectable as possible for a relatively close flyover of the subspace emitter site so that we can get better reconnaissance data?
I think I could make that work, sir.
Thank you, Lieutenant Commander.
Sorry, I just forgot that you had already arrived. Oh well. All right, so yeah, I'll say insight or reason and engineering for that probe thing. You can. It's going to be a difficulty. It's only going to be a difficulty of 2 because they're pretty primitive, and all you have to do is not let them see it, essentially, and fly high enough that it doesn't get detected by radar and stuff like that. But yeah, that's just going to be a difficulty 2. Does someone want to roll for the ship? I can say sensors or computers and science.
Okay, so those are the same. So sensors and science. Okay.
Ooh, you guys have 4 momentum. Do you want to get rid of it?
Hang on. I can. I have my technical expertise, which says whenever I attempt a task assisted by the computers or sensors of the ship, I can reroll 1d20.
Okay.
Which could be mine or the
Nice.
ship's. So I'm just going to roll that complication die.
Yep.
To be something maybe a bit more favorable. Okay.
Hey!
Nice. All right, so you have 4 successes, and that's gonna put you up to. Let's see, I said difficulty 2, so that's gonna put you up to 6 momentum.
It's like the probe started to squawk, and she kind of smacked it. Said, "Be quiet."
Yep.
Just don't smack Tiva Dunn and tell him to be quiet when he squawks.
You now,
I'm pretty sure she knows you're not a probe.
you now have a probe. What do you got? How? I'll let all 4 of you decide this, because depending on how you do it may give you different results. But how do you want to launch it? Do you just want to like have it do a quick orbit around the planet at a distance like you guys are doing? Do you want to send it directly into the atmosphere? How do y'all want to do it?
What Tiva really wants is essentially photography plus, because of course we've got all the extra sensors, so we'll get thermal stuff, we'll get electromagnetic radiation stuff, we'll get all sorts of extra sci-fi stuff. But it's the equivalent of aerial reconnaissance photographs is what he's after.
Gotcha.
So I don't know how close we need to get in with the probe.
Right. So if you want to actually get physical, so there's a lot of clouds, gas coming out of the planet, so there's a lot of clouds.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get low under the clouds and close enough to see topography, I'm going to roll 50-50 that someone notices, like with a telescope or with an aerial vehicle or something like that. So if that's what you want to do, you can do that. If you have it going above the clouds and kind of almost similar to where you guys are, it will get less information, but it will be safer.
Okay. Well, I know what Tiva wants, but because guess what? One of his personality flaws gets involved in that.
Nice.
But I turn to the rest of the party if they have opinions.
There we
And I
are.
would think that infrared could help as far as cloud cover goes. You'd be able to see a bit.
Yeah.
I think that would be more. If we didn't need visual, we could do infrared.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, could do that. I'm guessing we're going to have roughly the same 50-50 split problem when depending on where we come down, when we go down in the shuttle as well, or it might be even more.
I'm not saying anything. I've already got plans for that.
What kind of welcome party do you want, sir?
Yeah. What Z? You've got Z. Well, actually, no. Z and Mac, have you got thoughts on what kind of probe style to use? Low and risky or high and safe?
You can also just do a quick dip and dive and go back up or something.
Yep.
We could also, I guess this requires more work, but we could sort of disguise it to look like a satellite from their own planet, and just let it orbit the entire planet the whole time.
Like the radio satellite, you mean?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah,
like one of Elon Musk's satellites.
You probably got
Earth.
scans of it, yeah.
Yeah. If you want to spend a momentum, I could say that you guys retroactively did that.
Yeah. Have they only got one artificial satellite?
So hold on, Mac. Are you leaving, Mac?
They've got two.
Yeah,
Because your
connection issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, hopefully it gets better and you can come back later or something.
Yeah.
All right. See ya.
See you later, Mac.
Right.
Yeah.
See you.
And Nostra just messaged me.
Going back.
I don't. All right. So whatever you guys were saying, can you repeat that? Because I had to check messages.
Please,
Yeah, sorry. Okay. So there is we can like disguise, or I guess restructure the probe to look like one of the satellites sent by these people, one of the artificial satellites, and orbit the planet the entire time.
Yeah, if you want to spend a momentum, I'll say that you guys did that already, because the main thing that you're worried about is if you go too low, someone can physically look up and see it, and no matter how much you like, unless you have a cloaking device, that's but everything else you can just say, oh yeah, it's just a part of the or you can disguise it to be like whatever their aerial vehicles are, and but if you want to spend a momentum, we can say that you guys did that retroactively.
That would make sense, but before we make that decision, one question. In our previous sensor scans, you revealed the presence of one radio satellite and one telescope. are there like other artificial satellites bumbling around, or are those the only two? Because if it suddenly becomes 3, every astronomer's going to go, hang on. But if there's loads, they won't notice one more.
Yeah, no, the only actual like satellite is the besides the moon is the one that was up there that you guys had already seen. As far as like, but the thing is I physically have no idea how many actual satellites are in the sky. So as long as like some military general or admiral doesn't look at it and be like, hold on, we don't have that many satellites, you should be fine. And if you spend the momentum, that will basically just be the 50-50. Does somebody see it if it goes under the clouds? So basically, you're getting closer to the likelihood of someone seeing it and recognize it being lower and lower, if that makes any sense.
Okay. And yeah, it seems we've got 2 for safety, 1 for reckless, with Tiba Dunn's character flaw of impulsive. But we will, outvoted 2-1, we'll go with the safer plan of disguising it as a satellite and being above the clouds.
Okay. All right. In this case, I just need a reason and science roll for the scan, and it'll be a difficulty of 1, and the ship can assist.
Sure.
I guess that's going to be census science again for the ship.
Oh, yep. All right.
That's 2.
Nice. So +2, so you're up to 8 momentum. And you're keeping it above the clouds, you said?
Yep.
Okay, so no need to roll 50-50. You detect, and you're sending it around the whole planet, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Basically orbiting.
Okay. First of all, you see the other satellite. The other satellite doesn't know, it doesn't have sensors. It has like photography, but it doesn't catch you, like it doesn't know what it's looking at. It thinks it's space debris. As for what you do find the actual physical like building that the subspace signal is coming from. You find the basically whatever you guys need to know within reason, you're able to find. You're able to find the capital of what you believe to be either the biggest city or the biggest nation state or perhaps the whole planet. It is definitely by far the biggest city, and funnily enough, the center of the city is pristine. However, the outskirts as well as the internal city is basically like a ghetto, not taken care of at all. You can even tell like just from the photographs that your probe is taking, that the roads coming from the center of the city going out into the more rural parts become less and less upkept as it goes on. You are finding a few other cities on that side of the planet where most of the cities are. However, it's similar, even though they're not as large as the major city. They still have that same problem of the outskirts and the inner city is not taken care of, but the wherever the capital buildings are taken care of. Only if you want to. It's up to you. This isn't Hunger Games.
Okay, so that's excellent. We've located the building that the.
Oh yeah, and this,
hang the Federation. Take it over and create our own fiefdom.
This may go without saying, but the subspace signal is actually not coming It's coming from a building that is beyond the outskirts of the Capitol building, but still in its nation state, so to speak. So I would say probably like 100 miles from the capital city.
Right. Okay. And from the infrared data that we got of the subspace site, we know there's at least one building. Do we know if there's lots of other buildings surrounding it? Does it look like a very busy area with lots of stuff going on, or is this a relatively isolated, quiet patch of the world?
Yeah, it's basically just like a single. It's not even really like you wouldn't even if you didn't know what you were looking for, or if you were not open-minded to alien cultures, you wouldn't even know it was a building. It's kind of like a structure that instead of just being like this, it's kind of goes like this, like almost like it's built out of a tree. And then it's like there's a mountain near it, and there's like no other buildings anywhere near it. Then you see like probably 20 miles away from it, you see it like a small town or a village, and you see like 10 miles away from that is another one, and then you have more and more cities and towns until you get to the capital, and then it becomes more and more progressively better kept.
Yeah, and to what degree does this sensor data get subterranean? Is it a case of 10 meters underground, everything's useless, or do we have a degree of ground penetration?
Nothing. Sorry.
Nothing.
You could spend a momentum if you have a specific question, but the sensor data, quote unquote, being above the clouds and the photography that the thing is trying to take through the clouds is not getting it.
I think it would be useful, especially since we're at maximum momentum, to spend a momentum to essentially know if there is an underground complex associated with this, and if so, how big.
Okay. So if you go down to 7 momentum, then you do see there are underground compounds and chambers and sprawling kind of throughout the major cities, as well as some of the smaller towns. This one building that you're looking at has one what looks to be no bigger than a basement beneath it. Your best guess is it would probably be somebody's home, maybe a house turned office or lab or something. But you're still, even though you could detect that the subspace signal is coming from there, unless you spend a momentum, you can't see what the subspace device is made of or anything like that.
Okay, absolutely fine. So the picture, well, I'll say it as Tiba. It seems as though we're not dealing with any kind of military installation, official government compound, or large scientific research facility dedicated to making contact with alien life. This looks like a rogue individual or two in a private house. He just turns to the rest of the crew to see what they think.
Well, it could be, or it could just be that whoever is down there in that complex, that cave complex, I guess you could say. This is Star Trek after all, breaking the fourth wall here. That they have some sort of that they're experimenting with it in some way, that they don't know what it is, what it does. It's completely new to them, and they think that by turning it on, they might get something out of it. Maybe they're also scientists, just like the Federation sent its scientists, and they're thinking, if we are scientists as well, we might as well experiment on it. But that's my thinking as a scientist.
Or it could be a safe house, inconspicuous to the public eye, regardless of what's inside, sir.
He nods and says, that is a reasonable proposition. Out of character, although I'm not entirely sure how to express it in character, I'm slightly reminded of my old physics teacher who once got in serious trouble for building a coil nuclear accelerator in his garage. So, these kinds of things happen.
What a nerd.
Because he's very much thinking that this isn't official government business. This is way too low-key to be official government business in his mind, but it could be. Okay, we'll say, well, I believe there is an abundance of additional information we could get by sub-cloud research. However, as has rightly been pointed out, the more we do that, the greater the risk of detection.
Indeed.
I believe that we should begin making preparations to put the shuttlecraft down in the less populated side and then approach this area by foot, pending geography, of course. And then he turns to the map that we presumably generated from our various scans, and he essentially works out what the shortest route from uninhabited side of the well, not uninhabited, but low inhabited side of the planet is. Then overland to here. How long would that be? Is that lots of days? Is that hours? What's the journey time roughly, and over what kind of terrain?
So the best case scenario, I mean, because of the gas and the smog and everything like that, there are blind spots on the correct side of the planet. So you don't have to go like all the way to the other side because it would take you like weeks to walk that way. But if you, like I said, there is a mountain right next to this supposed building, so you could land potentially like at the bottom of the mountain, and kind of walk, and that'd take you like 30 minutes to get there, or you could land in the forest that surrounds the mountain and the building. But those are probably your best case scenario. If you try to land on the other side of the mountain, on the other side of the planet, you're going to be walking over a mountain, and then you're probably going to die because it's freezing up there.
Fair enough.
Tibetan
sort of has a sort of instant thought. Goes, can't deny. Could you, via some of the materials we keep on board, or replicate things as necessary, create an entirely harmless artificial meteor shower, shooting stars, stuff that burns up in the atmosphere, pretty lights. And then we could camouflage our shuttle in as one of them, so we're not an obvious single point that astronomers and daters or just casual sky watchers would notice. Our approach in with the shuttle would be camouflaged.
It's quite an ambitious plan, Mr. Eagle. I will see what I can do. I do like that idea, however. It sounds like something from a Klingon mouth, but
he'll like tilt his head at that and say, "Right, thank you for the compliment." I think
it very much is, of course. Yes.
Captain Radley
right.
says we could head over to the moon and see if we can get some rocks from that. There's bound to be loose rocks from that. Otherwise, we'll have to go back to the asteroid field we passed 2 hours ago, and that was at warp. So.
Wouldn't that be? How far is the moon anyway from the planets?
At impulse, it'd probably take you like 10 minutes. Not very far at all.
So if we did something like that from the moon, wouldn't it be detected by the astronomers on the planet? Or anyone who's watching.
I mean, if you go to the far side of the moon, they probably wouldn't. You just grab it and go out and towards the sun and come back or something.
I see. Well, it's worth a try.
So I'm going to move you to the astrometrics. So assuming the satellite that's it's in kind of like a stationary orbit is on the opposite side from where you are is there. The moon is, we're going to say, over here. So like if people were looking at it and if you went between it, yeah, they'd see you, but you could just go like all the way over here, or you could go around this side. Yep. Either way, you could get to it probably without the satellite or anyone with telescopes seeing you.
Yeah, and that would probably only take us a few minutes, so yeah.
Yep.
And then I put this to the whole team, but it seems like the plan is shuttle, go down, conceal it in this distraction so we're not obviously spotted, and then land in the shadow of the mountain, again to better conceal ourselves and conceal the shuttle, and then approach on foot from the near side of the mountain, not the far side. We'll need also to replicate various items in advance suitable to various different kinds of geography that are effectively like camouflage netting and that kind of thing. It's like, hide the shuttle! No one will be able to see this. If anyone's got any ideas to add on to that, more than welcome.
The commander will look at the CMO and say, I would like to disguise myself with the purple color blood. Thank you. That is quite close to the red, which is Klingon. And if at all possible, make my blood color purple.
I mean, if you put dye in your blood, I'm pretty sure that poisons you. But if the medical officer could come up with some kind of genetic thing, that'd be cool. I don't know. Does Nostra do you want to try that?
Sorry, it's just I'm mentally completely checked out.
Understandable.
I've already sent the explanation through DMs.
Yeah, I scanned it, but couldn't read it fully. But I understand if you just want to listen, or if you just want to make the rolls. Either way.
I'll just make the rolls because honestly, I'm just fucking pissed the fuck off right now.
Understandable. I know how you feel. All right, so that'll be let's see, reason and medicine. I'm gonna say difficulty 2. You have full momentum if you want to use it. The ship can assist with computers, computers, sensors. What was the other thing? Yeah, computers and medicine. And this can make your blood purple, but I might spin threat to have a side effect because I think that'd be fun.
Good.
By the way, how is Tiber Dunn gonna? Is he even gonna bother trying to disguise himself? Is he gonna try to stay on the ship? How is he gonna do it?
I think may have to have a conversation with our chief engineer, but also our chief scientist, because it sort of goes to both of them, in effectively a very localized hollow emitter, because there's no way he can do it by surgery. He is just too biologically different. And it might be useful if he has the ability, if he needs to get diplomatic, to go, this is what I really am, very quickly. So those two things combined, maybe a close range hollow emitter.
What if? And this is just me spitballing. You can, if you think of a reason why this is a horrible idea, I understand. But what if you spend 2 momentum to say that there is actually an animal that looks just like you on this planet, and that way, if they see you, you can pretend to be the away team's pet.
Yeah, it's like somebody walks in, and oh my word, he's going to have to be naked the entire mission. Somebody just walks. Somebody walks in, and you.
I finally got you naked.
You know what? Yes.
All right. So the probe when it scanned under the clouds, it saw that there was a bird just flapping away. For some reason, it had like human-like legs, and it's just like, and so you're like, just hide a comm badge in my feathers.
Yeah.
All right. So you're down to 6 momentum. Are you rolling, Nostra, and whoever's doing the ship? Are you doing that, Edgeford, or someone else?
I'll do the ship.
Okay, so Nostra, if you want to...
I'll roll.
Yeah, it'll be reason and medicine, difficulty, what did I say, 2? And then the ship
There's no reason in the ship.
No, you're the medical officer. You're rolling reason and medicine. You
right.
Basically they want one of the characters wanted purple blood, so yeah.
I'm guessing the ship is computers medicine?
Yep, computers medicine, and let's see if you can... Nice. All right, so 2 momentum, so you're back up to full, and you've got
my purple blood. Yeah.
You've got your purple blood. Now the question is, everybody on the away team, is the chief engineer going to do it? Is the chief medical officer going to do it? I don't know if.
This is where my ease of roleplay, realistic decisions start coming up against one another. I think it's on a purely out of character basis. It's fun for everyone if we're all there, all doing things, etc.
Right.
And in terms of justifying that in character, this is a highly important first, your prime directive potentially breaching mission that we really need to get right. So we bring the best, which is our senior crew.
And they all have to have purple blood.
Yes.
All right.
So get to cosplaying right away.
Chop off the tips of the falcon's ears.
All right. So we'll say that you guys are all got the purple blood. So am I correct in assuming you're not heading? You're heading towards the source of the subspace signal, correct? You're not trying to go anywhere else. You're just going there.
Yep.
I think so for this at first. Yeah.
All right. So go to the shuttle bay, I guess. Let's see. I'll move you guys to the runabout. All right. So your characters are up there. I'll move Merc. He's not here. You're gonna take your pilot, who now has a 4 in medicine, so pilot could help. Actually, I might put it back down to 3, just to make it a bit more interesting for the chief medical officer. I'll say Foster can go with you, the ops officer, and he'll have a 4 in security, so that way you have some security.
Give it 2.
Okay.
3.
Actually, yeah. All right. So, who's pilot? Well, I assume the pilot's piloting. Who's co-piloting? Who's got to?
I have 3 con.
Okay, we'll say that you're in the co-pilot seat. And all right. Skycat turns to you, T. Verdun, says, "Runabout is ready to go."
He turns to everyone in the party and says, "Do you all have the equipment you wish to bring? Nothing, no last-minute thoughts? Nothing that you're thinking of leaving behind?"
Uh-oh.
Yep. I noticed that.
Yeah. Well, that happened.
I'm in danger.
Yeah, Tiba will still, even though he's really not going to like getting naked in front of the crew, but he'll have to do it. He will still take with him, like before we leave the ship, some kind of close-range hollow emitter based on hide technology. Mainly because he has equipment and so forth. Like, if he gets caught in the middle of nothing, he'll try and hide it if he has time. But if he's just ambushed, he needs something that hides it from visual inspection.
Okay. By the way, is Tiber done taking a weapon, or just a holographic emitter?
Well, he is taking
Type 1?
a weapon. Yeah, that'll be easier for this one because it's easily concealable.
Okay.
And so I haven't made the decision about whether he takes it off the shuttle yet. But yeah, he's going to need kit, and also we need to be able to conceal stuff like our tricorders and so forth. So again, the little hollow emitter would be useful for that.
All right. So, as you guys are grabbing all your stuff, you get onto the shuttle, and Skycat announces that all is ready, and she begins to depart the Geneva with the.
Can we choose to play out of that complication just now?
I mean, you can, but you've already failed the con roll, so it's like...
That's the difference between being bad and
true.
crashing into the moon.
That's true. Alright, so do you want to spend 2 momentum or spend 1 momentum and have her re-roll it? At least if she re-rolls it, she could get a 1 and maybe not crash into, nothing. It's up to you guys. Do you want to give her a chance?
I'm feeling gutsy in the re-roll, but I'll be guided by the rest of the team.
Well, if she doesn't re-roll it, she's failed to fly.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good idea to spend 1 momentum and have her re-roll it at a higher complication range. But that's that's just me. And then if she gets 1, we can roll assists, and that will actually matter. She did not. She got another complication. I think the dice gods have decided that there is going to be a complication. So, all right. So I'm gonna move you back to astrometrics because you guys at this point. By the way, did you guys get the stuff from the moon or no? I can't remember if y'all did that already or not. No.
I think that was the idea. Now, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's just spend a momentum to say you did it because I don't want to have to do like a whole thing where you guys go mining like Armageddon. So let's just say that you did it. So you got them. The Geneva sends the rocks towards the planet as the runabout comes out of the shuttle bay, kind of behind the rocks, and the satellite's all the way over here. So the satellite's not going to see anything. However, one of the rocks somehow veers off course and heads towards the satellite. Now you have like 20 seconds before that satellite is taken out of orbit. What do you do?
Does this particular shuttle have a tractor beam?
It's a runabout. I think they do, right?
Okay. We don't want shooting, which will draw a lot of attention. So Tiba Dung will just say, "Tractor it back on course."
All right. Who's good with engineering? I'm guessing the chief engineer. All right, make a control or daring, whichever one. Engineering roll. The ship can assist with sensors and engineering to kind of grab it. Well, actually, not the ship, the shuttle. So let me see if I probably didn't even. I might not have even filled out that. No, I didn't. All right. So what was it? Sensors. I'll just say it's 10, and engineering we'll say is 3. And let's see.
I'll also interrupt for a second and say, Captain, if this plan doesn't work, we might want to send our probe in between the satellite and the flying rock to destroy our probe instead, so that nothing happens to the satellite.
The probes are about the
It's
size
risky.
of, well, I guess we gotta first decide how big this rock is. I'm gonna say it's probably, let's see, if you send it out, it's probably not going super fast because it's gonna go into the atmosphere, so it doesn't have to be super, but it does have to be big enough to potentially conceal a runabout. Let's see, yeah, so I would say it's not as big as a car, but probably about half as big, maybe a big motorcycle. So you have a big motorcycle, and a torpedo, I believe, is roughly the same size because it's about the size of a person, since you can fit a person in one. So you have a motorcycle-sized thing flying at another motorcycle-sized thing. The satellite is like 10 times that size. So I don't know if it's going to work, but it's up to you. Or you could try the tractor beam, which you've already done. So,
Yep.
I think that's a success. I think.
Yeah, we'll say difficulty 2. You latch on to the rock. What do you do with it? Do you throw it back towards the atmosphere? Or do you just leave it, let it float in space?
If possible, try and put it back on course so it looks like nothing weird happened.
Sure, we'll say that. All right, but now you've got a runabout just sitting out. Now you've got the runabout just sitting out in the middle of space. Speaking of which, let me grab the runabout picture. There it is.
I suppose another thing we could do too is just drag that rock towards us and then start following it, or start leading it back to the other.
It's still smaller than the runabout, though. But yeah, we got to roll again because Skycat is an utter failure in life. Let's see. Control, con. Someone roll engines, con for the shuttle. Oh, never mind. I've got a. Actually, could someone else roll for Skycat, and I'll roll for the shuttle because I have to put the con roll in. Let's say it's 2 and engines.
I would if I had access to her sheet.
Of course.
Oh yeah, true.
I thought I'd give it to everybody. I guess not. All right, there. Everybody has it now. All right.
As co-pilot, may I assist Skycat?
Yeah.
Since we
whoever's co-pilot could assist.
So
What's the difficulty of this?
This is just a 1. You're literally just flying from the ship towards the planet. You're not even doing anything really yet. She just failed that bad.
Oh.
All right.
0.
So your con's only 3? I should be co-pilot. Sorry.
Well, you didn't choose to.
That's just backseat piloting.
All right, so +1 momentum. So you're at, I believe, 7 now. The shuttle, or the runabout, heads towards the planet with the massive, well, somewhat massive motorcycle-sized rock between it. And then we're going to come upon the atmosphere with all the sensor dampening stuff. That's going to be a bit more difficult. Skycat looks around and says, whoever has any ability in flying should definitely help me.
Right. Commander, if you don't mind,
I'll
take the co-pilot chair.
Yep, and you can, whoever wants to can roll for the Flint. It's going to be engines, con. I actually put the stats in. And for her, it's going to be daring and con this time because it's going to get rough. Do y'all want her to spend a momentum to get an extra dice?
Yes, please, yes.
Go for it.
The difficulty is 3, so here we go. She got 4. Now she succeeds.
Okay.
Do y'all want to still? You're at 6 momentum. If y'all want to, well, actually, you're at 7 now because that 4 successes. Yeah. So no for the ship. Who's the co-pilot? Does the co-pilot want to?
I am the co-pilot. Yeah.
Okay.
I am the co-pilot now. Look at me. Oh,
All right.
It's a 0.
Nothing.
Never mind.
All right. So you're back up to full momentum, though. I think. No, maybe. No, you're at 7.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
7. All right. So yeah, you get into the atmosphere, and I'm going to move you to that. And you see the city in the distance. However, the red alert comes on as sensors detect 3 fighter ships coming up behind you. And yes, I did spend threat to have that happen.
Okay.
All right.
Part of Tiba Dunn's mind in the back of his head is, we really didn't do flight planning well enough if our flight path took us over a major city. Crap.
Well, don't worry about the picture. That's just for what's it called? Just to show you what the city looks like. Really, you're not really actually near it, but they are firing at you. So I will have to do evasive maneuvers. Not that might help. Let's see. Who wants to roll for the ship? It's going to be engines and con. Need one more success.
Authorize, unless everybody goes, no, the spending of momentum for the pilot.
Well, the pilot already rolled, got 2. You need one more success from the ship or the co-pilot.
Hey.
Oh, there you go. I'll roll as well. Hold on for those.
Right. Yep, maybe you might get 8 momentum. Yep.
There you go.
So you're at full momentum. The fighter ships, which whoever's good at, I guess that's the science officer. Roll a sensor scan, reason and science, and the ship can assist. I'll roll for the ship.
Yep.
Permission to assist, especially since I have a relevant talent that'll kick in.
Sure.
Okay. So constantly watching will kick in, which will reduce the difficulty by 1. The threshold for success, yeah.
All right, so it goes down from 3 to 2. So you need 1 success because the ship already got 1 success.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
There you go.
So as you kind of scan back there to see what the hell is shooting at you, you realize that these fighter jets are less advanced than those of the United States from the 70s. And they were almost at the cusp of having warp just 70 years ago. But they're a lot less advanced than you would expect. And they're firing basically rocket missiles at you, like typical missiles that you would find, like I said, in the 70s or 80s. They do have energy. However, they do have energy weapons that fire at kind of energy pulses. That's what I'm looking for. That fire at a rate of like a Gatling gun. So an automatic energy weapon begins to graze your hull as all that happens. Since I didn't have time to make the character sheet for the ship or the fighters, I will just roll. And they got 1 critical success and 1 failure, so I will roll for damage. And that's 4, 5, 6, and an effect, so that is a breach on. So basically, if you get 1 more breach, your ship explodes because it's scale 2.
Interrupt.
Yep.
I'm going to activate Commander Tiba Dunn's precautions talent, which means that once per scene, if a ship suffers a breach or a character suffers an injury, I can just say it didn't happen.
Nice.
And I describe the precautions that were taken. And so in this particular instance, the precautions that were taken was the extra sensor work that was given, considering the sensor difficulties that we were going to be having this mission, which means that we were able to see the attack coming from a distance off and took an evasive maneuver at the last minute. That meant that the breach just didn't happen.
All right. So yeah, you swerve. The energy pulses hit your hull. The computer core of the ship was going to explode, but the coolant system kicked in. However, you will. Who would be at tactical, since we don't have a security chief right now? I guess that would be an NPC.
Yeah, probably.
But it'd
especially since Tiba's elsewhere. I mean, Tiba's got
Who's
good.
got a high security?
Yeah, I think Tiber Dunn used to be a security chief.
Yeah, he's got 4. Sadly, I gave up shipboard tactical systems for diplomacy. I regret this.
My bad. That is on me. I was not thinking about this particular scene when I told you that. But as you're glancing at a console, you will notice that your shields, let's say, normally 100% would be your shields. Your shields are at 10% at this point. from the energy pulses that just hit you.
This is
I
really
look at the
good
captain.
subject.
I say, might we try talking to them? We have the same looks. We have the same blood. We just have a different vehicle. That's all.
Just hide the
Test
bird.
shuttle.
Very well. Yeah,
Side
I was about to say. So, who here's got decent presence and command? I know I have, but I don't know about everybody else.
Might
3
All
command.
right, let's do a Cisco.
I don't know what that is.
And let's do a Cisco.
Threaten to kill them?
And no, do the thing that he did on one particular mission, where the broadcast shows them as, on that instance, being Cardassians to a Cardassian
Right.
ship, but that wasn't actually what was obviously going on.
Now,
and-
feel free to tell me that this is a horrible idea, or you could just show up on screen as yourself and be like, just the sheer, like, because they would recognize you as one of their animals, so they would just see you and just be shocked for like a few seconds, and then you could attack them.
That's probably not even an issue. These people have got roughly 1970s planes with strange alien guns. I'm getting sci-fi time-traveling Nazis Enterprise vibe here. But it's the... They've probably just got radio, audio only.
Sure.
So, yeah, we'll have that in standby, but for the moment we'll just broadcast audio only on radio.
Okay.
So hopefully they'll pick it up.
What do you say?
Okay, all right. Kind of blown here already. I'm just going to put this out to the team. How massively breaching of the Prime Directive do you want this to get?
We don't
How do
have
you know
to
the
breach
Federation
the.
exists? Yeah.
They do, but we don't have to tell them that we are from the Federation. We could just tell them that we are their people. They're shooting at us. I guess.
I don't suppose these birds
because
are
they don't know.
endangered at all. You're gonna kill an endangered species!
You could spend a momentum to
Well,
say
you're
that
fine.
they are. Spend a momentum.
I think for the
say-
moment...
Well,
Oh, we've got 8. Why
yeah.
not? But we'll do that if it gets to visual. If they start making visual contact, then one of you can step in and be protecting your precious pet bird.
Just gotta remove you have to remove your translator so you can just squawk and then it's
Yes, I love it. Okay, but we'll start with the audio only and then we'll go to that as necessary. Tiba Dunn will start with to the rest of the team, up to the pursuing craft. Hold fire, we are not a hostile vessel. Simply passing through this airspace. Apologize for any violations that we may have made. Over.
You hear static for a second before you hear the voice of an individual. Who is this? We have not seen your type of vessel before. Also, it looks like your impulse, or they wouldn't know what impulse is. Your engines are overheating, and as the chief engineer glances at her console, she will notice that the impulse reactors are overheating and the coolant system has failed.
Time, sir.
Yeah, out of character, I'm thinking, damn, we took a lot of damage even though we didn't get breached.
I spent 2 threat for that.
You spent 2 threat. But fine. Well, I'm going to assume that the engineer in the background is just dealing with that problem. And we'll say we are a private craft traveling through this airspace and have no particular affiliation. This is something that was made on our own, hence why we are an unknown flying type. We apologize for any form of confusion that may have caused.
You get back. Are you Dyer or Rudai?
Okay, out of character. Are we on the side of the planet that we got the radio transmission that we listened into coming from?
Well, yes. I mean, you're kind of on the cusp, but you mostly are, yes.
Yeah, well, that began with Rudite citizens. So I'm guessing we're in Rudite territory. And we'll say, we'll sort of with a hand, sort of gesture towards Con to prepare for heavy evasive maneuvers in case this is the wrong answer. But we'll say, Rudite, over.
All right. Go Go ahead and make a presence and command. It has to be difficulty 2 or more. Also, I'm going to type how to spell it because it's E. Brudite.
Okay.
So
I do have. We've got 7 momentum. I'm going to consume 1 momentum because this may well be important. And here we go.
While he's doing that, can I go look out through our databases and figure out if there is one very famous rich entrepreneur in the civilization that is building all these wonderful things, technological things, and if I can get the name of that, of course.
one civilization, like Iconians, just building a bunch of crazy high advanced.
No,
stuff.
one person in the civilization
person.
who was
Oh.
sort of their Elon Musk. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Roll a reason and science difficulty 3. And meanwhile, engineer, roll a control or daring engineering difficulty 5. Complication range 5. Spending threat.
Buying 3 dice, 3 momentum. There you go. Oof.
Wow.
3, 4, 5. Yep. So we're getting 2 momentum back, so that's 7 now.
All right.
And we have complication. Yep. So that's 5. Back to 5.
Okay. So you would actually find that 70 years ago, during the year 2330. Actually, let me turn to my timeline because this is why I made it. The civilization was kind of hitting a what's the word I'm looking for? A crossroad, so to speak, when it comes to academia, their universities, their schools, education system, etc. And essentially, the people that were able to create these things, subspace devices, etc. I mean, back then it wouldn't be subspace devices; it would just be, whatever was most advanced in that time. Those individuals were, if they didn't go to a specific university, they were shunned. They weren't necessarily treated much differently, but they were definitely not treated like those who went to an actual school to learn what they were what they were learning. You would not find anybody who. Why is this doing that? Okay. You would not find anyone who didn't go to school who kind of was able to create something like this. And those that you knew, or those that you found that would go to school, so like an Elon Musk or something like that, and basically kind of were geniuses, but also maybe they had the resources and the money. They had no inclination whatsoever of creating something like this. They were mostly interested in creating something for themselves. However, once the anthropologists from the Federation left, they lost all information regarding the citizens and what they would advance and become and create and stuff like that. So you do find multiple names that it could be, but no one name like an Elon Musk that it's like, okay, it's definitely that person. Definitely nobody that would be living this far away from a capital city or a city.
Right. All right. I will pass the names to the captain, and I'll say if they give us more trouble, just tell them that we are hired by these named people because they are famous and rich and they have money, and we might just pass as their workers, whatever, mercenaries, whatever you can think of. That's why it's private, this whole thing.
I'm just going to randomly decide that one of those names, since I don't think we've got any of them, is Dolphus Zorn. So if it comes to it, I go, we are working for Dolphus Zorn.
Sure.
This is in D&D.
Anyway. All right. So. Yep.
For my impossible roll,
yep.
I would like to consume some momentum. I would like to try.
I just
realized. You got 5 right now. Yeah. I don't think I have enough to buy 3 dice. I think I can buy 2 though.
I do.
I don't know, I'm thinking it's 1 and then 2 and then.
Well, I do 1 for 1, so it's just 1 for 1. You can get
Right. I'm buying 3 dice. And also, Zen just kind of, she understands the gravity of the situation. So she is going to be pulling on her determination of making do with what's around. I'm going to go ahead and get myself at least 2 successes, and then we'll see if I can pull 3 more. And hope I don't roll badly for the rest.
2, 3, 4,
Okay.
5, 6, and a complication. So what do y'all want to do about that complication? Well, actually, first roll.
2 from determination.
Does anyone want to assist? The ship can't assist because the ship is what you're fixing. So does anybody want to assist? Actually, I'll have the ops officer. He has a decent engineering. He can assist. Unless someone has a 4 in engineering.
Nope.
No, a 3, but not a 4.
Okay. So, let's see what. Alright, so you got 7 successes. Difficulty was 5, so you have 2 momentum. So you're up to 4 momentum.
Plus 2 from the determination.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot you used determination. Okay, so what do you want to do with that?
Can't let us crash.
I say we just buy out of that 2 and take us back down to 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so you successfully prevent the impulse engines from completely exploding the back half of the ship. And now the pilot looks back to you guys and says, you managed to save us, but the impulse engines are still acting finicky. I'm going to have to take us down with maneuvering thrusters. We're not going to be able to stay in the air for much longer.
Yep, Tiba Dunn, definitely with the broadcast radio off, just says, acknowledged, do your best to put the shuttle down in a conceivable location, but survivability is the foremost concern.
And you did pass the presence roll, so after you tell him what you tell him, the guy on the other end, Roger that. And obviously they're speaking alien language, which you have universal translators. Right? Roger that. We can escort you back to the capital city if you like.
It just goes back to its broadcast and says, acknowledged, we are grateful for your kind offer, but that will not be necessary. We will proceed on our own. Thank you. Over.
Roger that. Fighter Jet Squadron 1 out. And then they kind of peel off away from you. Roll an Insight Command, difficulty 1.
No, I'm not going to have a relevant focus for this.
So you get 1 momentum. You're pretty sure. I mean, this doesn't take a genius to realize this, but you're pretty sure that they're not going to leave you alone. They believed that you were a part of this guy's, faction or whatever, but they still are very interested in that weird alien ship that you were about to crash in, so they'll probably be back really soon.
That's fine. Once we get down on the ground, I'm very grateful that I kept Tiba Dunn's talents and foci and so forth that he picked up from his sort of crash survival stuff before now. So he's got survival, stealth, etc. We'll be able to evade these guys. We can hide. It's fine.
Well, the pilot has to make a landing in the general vicinity of where you guys are headed. So let's try that. Who wants to roll?
Strap in.
Who wants to roll for the assist?
I will do. I'm co-pilot anyway. Okay.
Someone can roll for the ship as well as the co-pilot. I'm rolling for, unless someone wants to roll for Skycat.
I'll roll for the ship.
All right. Skycat gets a complication. So difficulty is going to be 2, but she did get a complication. What do y'all want to do with that? Nice.
Hey, my assist.
So you got 3 successes so far.
Lose it, please. We're already in enough trouble as it is.
It's going to be engines and con for the ship.
Got it.
No successes.
Yeah, for sure.
So you got 6 momentum. You just want to buy it off or re-roll it?
I think so. This is something that could kill us all, so buy out of it.
You're down to 4 momentum, and the ship is going to make a rough but safe landing in the general vicinity of the signal location. All right. Wind is blowing as you guys land outside this strange-looking hut type of thing. Clearly, this is some kind of rudimentary, created out of necessity type of quote-unquote building, or shelter is probably more likely. The fact that someone could be inside something like this creating a subspace beacon is pretty surprising to call it anything. So I'll let you guys decide how you want to proceed from here.
Since Tibadan knows that the aircraft are probably not going to leave them alone, he'll immediately order all hands, because we know the atmosphere is safe, to go out there, throw up the camouflage netting that we brought, and since it was a rough landing, I'm guessing we've left gouge trails in the ground. So clear those up, disperse them so you can't easily see where the shuttle landed, to make it hard for us to be found. Because we're probably going to have a flyover in a few minutes.
Okay. I'll say if you want to spend a momentum, you can do that. Otherwise, having to roll for something like that is kind of weird, and it would kind of mean that potentially someone could see it from above. So it's just better just to spend a momentum to say it doesn't exist.
Excellent. I think that's a good idea.
So yeah, you clear everything. You put branches over your vehicle or whatever. Nobody's gonna see it from above. And then what?
Okay. He'll turn to the team, and he'll finish the last of setting up his nude disguise, and he very much gives everybody a sort of the first person who laughs is demoted kind of look. And then says, do you want to get out of your uniforms and put on slightly more civilian attire, at least for the moment? And
of course. Why not?
okay.
I recommend locking down the computers, sir.
Absolutely, and having everything powered down as much as possible once we've left. And yeah, he'll start locking things with his various command codes.
Okay. I'll just say that momentum takes care of that, so you don't have to worry about rolling for it. Nobody's coming for your.
Also, if at all possible, and I look at the CMO, could you make a scan of any biological signs around here? We might have some following, maybe, or some fauna, flora.
Fair enough. That'll be a reason and medicine, difficulty 1. As you scan with your tricorder, looking around for humanoid or animals that may be sneaking up on you.
We are in the wilderness, after all.
Yep. Why won't this loop like I told it to? Are you rolling for medicine, Nostra?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reason, medicine.
Also, during this, Zen's just going to be wiping off any soot or sweat that she probably has picked up after her crazy repairs.
Speaking of which, do you want Skycat and the ops officer to stay in the vehicle or come with you?
Someone should stay with the vehicle.
Okay. Yep, you guys are ready to move. You don't detect. You detect 2 individuals in the basement under this building, but you don't detect anything around you. No creatures in the mountains or in the forest. No, or you detect animals, but they're nothing bigger than a rabbit. You detect one of those humanoid bird-looking things flapping in the wind as it approaches the mountain. But other than that, you don't detect anything out of the ordinary.
And I'll say, Captain, your family is here. I'm joking, of course.
Your cousin
I'll be
John.
glad to know I've been promoted.
Oh man.
And yeah, he'll have it. But on that theme, before the ramp comes down and we all leave, he will take this opportunity to do a few sort of last minute if he just calls, he sounds like an Aurelian. He's practicing their bird call as best he can.
Okay. I thought you were just trying to talk to your kin. I was like, what? UTs don't work that way.
Calling it an airstrike for later.
Captain, watch out! It might be a mating call. You never know.
Oh no.
At least that would be a story to tell back home.
And then be put in prison for bestiality. All right. So, do you guys eventually head into the building?
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah, heading up.
The bestiality prime directive.
All right.
Before we go in, like as we're approaching, Tiba will ask the team quietly, because he's now aware that he could be observed. Do we want to work out our story in advance? Do we wish to pose simply, at first at least, as travelers seeking shelter, and this is the only place we could find, or do we wish to pose as employees of Dolphus Zorn, investigating something of scientific interest, or are we honest from the outset?
Didn't Earth civilization used to send non-sentient species into space before sending their humans as a way of figuring out shuttle atmospheres and the like? Would that maybe be a viable cover story?
He nods and says, yes, there were some very brave dogs, but we'll...
And monkeys.
And pigeons.
And he'll then say, so is the suggestion that I am... That explains the shuttle and why I might be aboard it. It's more a case of what we're going to tell the people who live in the house. And we knock on
there
their
could
door.
be the possibility that we have a scientist right here, and I pointed myself sort of egotistically, that we are doing some sort of research on you, Captain, as you are a specific different breed than your own kin, because you can speak. That could be something that could pass by.
Very well. I give you limited permission to ruffle my feathers. Now...
I will not ruffle it.
Does anyone have a tricorder open by any chance?
I could have it.
Okay.
Sure.
You detect the subspace signal has been deactivated.
Ooh, they know something's happened.
You also hear shouting from inside the building.
Okay. Let's just go quickly. Scenario is developing. Let's just go quickly. We'll have to improvise. We'll have to improvise why we're knocking on their door.
I have one left.
What's the local?
One threat
What's
left.
the local weather condition? What are the local weather conditions?
Slight breezy, but mostly just a little bit cooler than normal, but not like it's not like you can't take it. I mean, I don't know how birds are with the cold, but it's just very Earth-like. I'll say it that way, so I don't have to world build.
Okay.
I will say that it is the sun.
whole...
The sun will be setting within a couple hours, though.
Okay. Well, since it seems that our scientist will be taking the initial lead in the conversation, at least, what reason are you proposing for why this experiment with me, which is fine, is knocking on their door? As we...
Well, I suppose I have a vested interest in the animals on this planet as a scientist, and I find you quite fascinating. Not that I do, Captain.
You hear a squawking as one of these birds above is flapping its wings, and an energy beam hits it and disintegrates it as one of these fighter jets flies past.
Well,
that's my last threat.
Okay. But out of character, because I think I might not be making myself clear, that explains very well why you are a scientist performing an experiment in this area and on Tiba. It doesn't explain why you're a scientist who's walking up to this stranger's door and going knock, knock, knock. What is your rationale for doing that in your cover story?
Maybe like something along the lines of us getting lost somewhere and we need shelter for the night, or something like that.
Excellent. Okay, as long as we're all singing from the same hymn sheet and don't contradict one another. Excellent.
And of course, I look at the team and say, if you have additional stories that you could add to support this, that could be helpful as well. Don't let me talk at once for all possible explanations.
Our communications aren't working. Can we borrow one of yours?
All right.
Possible.
Forward.
Oh, don't worry, it's
So
not
we
for
go.
y'all. All right, so you head in.
Yep.
All right, so when you get inside, you find like a straw floor, makeshift bed, and like a lantern with a slight flickering flame. Who wants to make a insight security check?
Yes. And is this like looking for any kind of danger at all, or is that not an element here?
I mean, sure, yeah, but mainly just perception.
Okay.
Just kind of a general perception check, but also constantly watching will still come into effect. So difficulty's going down
Still coming.
from 3 to 2.
All right.
Do we assist,
Yeah.
or is that?
Anyone can roll it, so it's kind of hard to assist someone with their eyes and ears, but if you want to roll your own, then that's fine.
So lean forward just. Okay, all right. Since we're lower momentum and it's a difficulty 2, I'm not going to consume any, especially since there are some assistances. So close.
Yeah, nope. You just find a barren. This room isn't big. It's like half. I would say it's probably like a 12 by 12 foot small kind of hovel, so to speak. You're not you find like a tiny little box with like an antenna sticking out of it that's like on the floor, but it's not powered, and whatever battery or cord is used to power it is not there. But you do find that kind of radio device there. Other than that, you're not really, at least on first glance, you don't find anything. But then eventually, after 5 minutes of looking around, you do hear something coming from kind of like a vibration under your feet.
Down there anyway. Out of character. Oh, looks like keyboard's doing something. Yeah. Out of character, it's a choice between going hello or just going through the doors.
It's up to you.
I say we just go through this, since we know there's vibration, but we also know there's an upstairs that we haven't checked.
I mean, you could.
Yeah, we know the subspace thing's underground.
Just glancing up, you could see that upstairs is like empty. Whatever's going on is below you, probably.
Right. So can I? Because I am an Afrosian and I have visual spectrum as talent. So this reduces difficulty when you're trying to look through specific things, or in low light, or in
okay.
ultraviolet, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So maybe I can try and see what's happening down there from where we are.
Sure. Give me an insight and science difficulty. Difficulty 3, because there's still like a floor there. However, you might find something that could help you. And what is your?
And it's reduced by 1.
Yeah, if that's what
Because
the
of
talent
the,
does. Yeah. So it's a difficulty 2.
Yeah. Sorry. What is my? You want to say something?
No, just insight science difficulty 2.
Let's see.
You just find the floor, a straw mat over it that's looking suspiciously like it might be covering something, and that's it.
Okay.
I say go down. What's the worst that could happen?
Speaking of which, let me roll for something. Oh, don't worry, this won't be bad at all.
Famous last words.
Oh man, why do they keep succeeding? I'm trying to get the NPCs to fail at something so I can get threat. Alright, yeah, so eventually, probably after 15-20 minutes, you find a trapdoor under the mat.
Trapdoor. Okay.
Yep. Now, this trapdoor is not like, oh, here's a straw mat, here's a wooden trapdoor, let me just pull it open. This is like a safe, a metal safe that you have to literally punch in keys. Now, the keys are, like a keyboard key, so it's not like they're super advanced, it's not like a touchscreen, but it's still more advanced than this hovel that you're standing in.
Geneva will lean over and sort of whisper in Enola Zen's ear, just in case there are people listening, and say, "Do you think you could bypass that security system?"
Sure.
That's what I was trying to avoid, but okay.
Yep, that'll be
we
insight
can try.
engineering. Insight engineering to bypass it. Or if you want to guess the code, insight security. Although, I doubt that's going to happen considering it's an alien planet.
I'll try guessing the code then, and someone can do engineering.
I'm just looking to see if I have anything that would apply for a focus. Maybe improvisation. Probably not.
Yeah, you think
I
the
have a
code
one.
might be the name of his dog, and then you realize this planet has no dogs, so you don't get it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
Okay,
Admin
so is this like a combination lock where I could turn and listen to see if it clicks at all?
Nah, it's
Or-
it's literally like this keypad right here. It's buttons. Now you could pull off the buttons and see what kind of electrical components are under it, but other than that, it's just a basic keypad.
Or I could just see where there's been oil smudges on the.
Sure. Let's see. If you want to do that, that would be an insight, medicine, or science check, though. Yeah, didn't think so.
I was just trying to think if there's any sort of. I don't know. I have a computer's focus, but this is probably Starship Federation computers.
I mean, it's
I could try.
computers are computers.
counts. Yeah.
Somewhere.
Ones and zeros, that's the same.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say
keep
that
that.
focus applies. I'm not super picky about stuff like that.
And I'm assuming my complication.
Now, if you
is
had an
not-
abacus, and you're like, "This is a computer," then I would have take exception to it. But sorry, what were you saying?
So, and I'm back down to 1 on my complication range. I'm assuming
Yeah.
instead of the 5. that I
Unfortunately, I don't have any more threat. I'm going to try to
We'll just-
generate some though. Don't worry.
have. See what I can do
Oh,
with
yeah.
this. Okay.
Hey, that's good.
All right. So the good news is you think that with time you can manage to short the system that it's using to open the door. The bad news is it could take some time, and by then either whatever's going on down there could change, or the fighter jets that are looking for you can come back. I guess it's up to you guys to decide if you want to take the risk, or if you want to try to vaporize the door off, or how you want to do it, or if you just want to turn around and go home, and that's fine too.
Then we'll just turn back to the commander and whisper back, I can, but it's just going to take way too much time to do this. I'm not even going to bother with an estimate. They'll get here before.
In that case, the commander will produce. He'll look over his shoulder, make sure the door that we came in through is closed. We're unobserved. He's going to make sure nobody can see what he's about to do, and not just that there are people hanging around staring, but he's also these people are high tech and they've gone a long way to concealing it. So he's thinking, are there hidden security cameras around here that are watching what I am doing? Does there appear to be any element of that?
Just from glancing around, no, but that would be another difficulty 3 insight security check.
I will do that. I will.
And yes, I know it
we're
goes down to
not-
difficulty 2 because it constantly watches.
Yeah, it goes down to difficulty 2. We don't have that much momentum, so I won't consume any. That isn't
How much do we
critical focus. We have
3. Okay.
3. Yeah.
You can use 1. I think that's.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I'll use 1.
Z, can you roll reason science as you're glancing at your tricorder and it's pointed at the general direction of this door, this trap door? Oh.
I will.
Oh, no.
Nope, I'm not letting you. I'm taking it for threat. I'm sorry.
Right, wait, before I even go with the reroll.
My prerogative. I need threat. I'm taking it.
Okay.
The good news is
I
I'm
assume
not
that
using
means
it
that nothing
on
nasty
you.
happens now.
Just from looking around, no. You don't detect the massive machine gun pointed at you, but other than that, no.
So recent size, and what am I detecting exactly with my tricorder?
It's just pointed generally at the floor, so I was going to give you some information on your tricorder that might help you guys, but it's a passive scan basically. It's not like you're directly looking for anything. Okay, so you guys get a momentum. The tricorder gives you the material that the trapdoor is made of. It's metal, but it's not like super strong. A phaser set medium could probably burn a hole through the locking mechanism and the lock or the door itself and get through. But yeah, I'm just glad I got threat back.
Yeah. Tiba Dunn is going to assume that these people have got various security measures, but he has seen no security cameras, and so that means that there isn't about to be recorded evidence of him producing a phaser.
All right.
Which he will now produce.
All right.
I'm sorry, I've doomed the party. And he'll set it to the appropriate sort of medium level. He is, however, going to assume that the door is in some way trapped or alarmed if there's a lock on it. And so he will say quietly, everybody stand back and let me know if you think this is a bad idea. As he aims the phaser.
I don't think we have much of a choice, honestly.
Okay.
So we might as well try.
Ben could assist with her saboteur talent.
What?
Ooh.
What does that do? Just blow up
skilled
everything.
in taking things apart violently if necessary. Basically, if I make an attack against a structure, I can use my engineering and
Start
security.
punching the door. All right.
There you go.
Yeah, you could do that.
My unarmed strike.
Sure. Fitness and engineering, I guess. I don't know.
Is it control security
Yep.
for the phaser cut?
Yep.
Cool. What's the difficulty?
I mean, just to shoot at the door, 1. I mean, it's not moving. It's not going anywhere. It's not hidden anymore. All right, you get a momentum. All right, so are you assisting Chief Engineer?
If I were assisting while he is shooting, I would probably assist in shooting.
Well, what you could do though, instead of you could just roll control and engineering, and that could be like you're assisting with the cutting beam instead of like physically trying to open the door. All right, Nostra. To be honest, I haven't heard from you. I've kind of forgot you were here. So come back and play. All right. Nice. So +2 momentum.
When he sees you like getting ready to punch it and then thinking better of it and going to assist with the cutting beam, he will make a slight quip and says, "You remind me of a slightly younger me sometimes."
Well, as you both start firing at this door, you hear footsteps beneath you and muffled arguing voices as the door is about to be opened and you're firing at it. And I'm spinning threat to have that happen. But the door kind of, you burn a hole through the door, you hear someone scream and someone fall down some steps, and what do you do?
Okay, immediately you cease firing, you pull it away from anybody that you might hit an innocent civilian, etc. Is there any kind, from what you can immediately see, does it look as though he's hit an innocent bystander?
No, you basically just scared someone down the stairs, essentially.
Okay. It's also pretty clear he's not a pet at this point. Pets don't carry or fire weapons.
Well, I will tell you that they didn't pay much attention because they're below you on the steps. All they saw was the phaser beam burning a hole through it, and then that's when it burst open and they fell down. So they didn't see who did it. They just saw a big burning hole in the door.
Okay, so immediately moves the phaser, deactivates the phaser, conceals it in the little, well, it's type 1, so it just conceals it, and adopts pet pose. Going with this cover until he is convinced that this cover isn't going to work. At which point he'll just stand up and start talking. Yeah.
All right. So who goes down first? If you're not, because you're the pet, who goes down first?
I'll go.
All right.
Yep.
I should be mean and make you roll to go down some stairs so you can fall, but I won't. All right, you descend the steps. You find the basement is a bit larger than the actual thing above it, so I'll move you guys to that. You find it is some sort of laboratory that has definitely been derelict for a really, really long time. And at the bottom of the steps, you find 2 individuals have fallen and hit in their head. And
Okay. That's an interesting individual there.
oh, they both are. But yeah, you find them down there. They're just rubbing their head. They haven't really looked up to see who it is yet. So what do you do?
So I'll approach them and I'll present myself. I'll say, I am scientist Jor-El, something, just make up something. Doesn't matter. And I've been hired by my proprietor, and but I don't know what the name was. Tibur, what was the name that you made up? I don't know.
Adolphus Dawn was what.
That's
Sorry, no, Dolphus
exactly.
Zorn. Dolphus Zorn.
So me and my group of misfits here have been hired by this proprietor to investigate some things for him, do some scientific experiments. That is why we are here. We apologize for any inconveniences that we caused barging in like this, but we really have to be here. It's important for us.
You catch these 2 individuals as you're talking to them. They look up at you and they don't pay really any attention to your face. They seem to be looking at what you're wearing. By the way, are you still wearing Starfleet uniforms, or did you try to?
No, we changed to civilian outfits,
okay.
as the captain mentioned.
But are they just traditional civilian outfits, or are they specifically for the people of this planet?
I'd say they are more for the people who would be hired by Adolphus, like let's say hired scientists.
People that work with them. Yeah, gotcha. So as soon as they see what you're wearing, they get on. One of them, the man, gets on his knees, puts his hands on the floor flat, and keeps his head down, and he says, "They found us! I knew it! I knew it was eventually. I knew it would happen eventually. Please, it's she. I threatened her. It was all me. She didn't do anything." And then as soon as she sees what you guys are wearing, she kind of puts her hand on his shoulder to comfort him and says, "That's fine. They won't silence us forever." What do you do?
I see. Well, I look at them and I say, we're not here to silence you. We're here to do experiments. I know where you're thinking. I know where you're coming from, and trust me, I've met people like you before. We are here to confirm your suspicions. Don't worry about it.
She says, the woman says, "Look, you're not going to take it from us. We designed it. We put it to use, and if we find someone with it, then all the better for this world." And the man says, "Just give it to them before they kill us."
How about this? And I look at both of them. We let you keep it, and in exchange you allow us free reign throughout this facility just to finish our experiments, and then we leave.
Roll present science. Difficulty is not opposed, but it is going to be 2, because they want to believe you, clearly, but they may not.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I will use a value, determination.
Okay.
2 points. A sense of community, because I feel myself as if I'm in like a scientific community at this point. And I will let's see. I will also use a focus composure.
Okay.
And sorry, what was the roll again? What were
Presence
the attributes?
and science.
Science. Okay. There you go. That's 4 in total.
Nice. So you get 2 momentum, and they both slowly begin to stand up. And they look at you, and they're focused on one. They're looking specifically at a part of your outfit that you would have noticed, as you're looking through the probe, like, okay, we need to put this on, blah, blah, blah. But they're looking at your arms, and then they turn to each other and it says, "It doesn't look like the modern ones. It looks like the ones from 30 years ago, these outfits and their armbands." And you will notice that one of them, the man, is wearing a blue armband, and the woman is wearing a white armband. And you all, of course, since you're emulating the people that you're emulating, are wearing white armbands. And the man says, "Really, who are you? Have you been Lost in the dark ages for the last 70 years? Where have you come from?
You could say that. I come from very far away. If you're interested in these clothes and the armband, I mean, I could get them to you. I have enough where I come from.
No, it is not
I
that.
don't mind.
You act and speak so differently. I don't...
Where I come from, that's the way we used to act and speak, and I was raised this way.
So
It is
the
way it
woman
is.
says, so you're not time travelers.
No, nothing of the sort.
Y'all's face is like, where did that come from? Okay. So then they seem even more confused at this point. But eventually they kind of settle down after a couple minutes of explaining. And the man says, apologize for our reckless abandon. We are hiding from the authorities. We have created this device. Oh, and pardon my manners. My name is Ichab, but I have created this device. I do not know what to call it yet, but it is able to send a signal through immense distance, and we are hoping to contact someone that is not of this planet. Do you understand what I mean? He looks at you like you're stupid. He's like, do you understand what I'm saying?
And I'll confirm his out of character. I'll confirm his story and look somewhat confused and stupid. And I'm thinking, that's quite the achievement. Interesting, advanced technology. See, I am a scientist. That's all what I'm about, honestly. If you can get it to work and show me how you made it, in fact, you could discuss it right now as we are working. And by the way, during this time, I am sort of like trying to make these hidden signals to the party so that they can like sort of come and.
Zen might be trying to sneaky scan at this point.
Okay, so if you're trying to sneaky scan, that'll be let's do a control and science. If you're if you're trying to scan the device, which by the way you don't see at the moment, or the technology in the room, it could be control and engineering. But if you're trying to scan just generally, it'll be science. If you're trying to scan them, it'll be medicine, etc. And sorry, what?
Okay, I thought that the device was like right here or something.
No, you don't see anything that looks out of the ordinary. I mean, as far as you could tell just by looking at the screen here, you see a lot of like old 70s style computers. You actually see some computers that look like they're, modernized. You see some computers that are like holographic in nature, but they're depowered. Computers and equipment from all different kinds of eras that you guys would be familiar with, from like the 70s to the to mid 2000s Earth level. And sorry, Z, you said something before she said something. What was it?
Yeah, so while I am conversing with them, I want to try to give some hidden signals to the entire group to come down and move their way, right? Because we have work to do. We're not here to have fun.
So the woman, while you're making that secret scan, the woman is gonna look at you, Tiber Dunn, then look back to the second officer, the science officer, back and forth, and then she narrows her eyes. And she finally looks at the chief engineer, who's probably holding a tricorder behind her back or something, but she doesn't notice that. And then she looks back to Ichab, and she whispers something in his ear. Now you can roll insight, and I'll say either science or security to see if you can figure out what she says. But when they look back to you, the man just looks kind of surprised with his eyes wide, and the girl. She kind of takes a few steps back towards this center pillar. So what are you scanning for with the security?
Oh, I meant to click science.
Okay.
Rank the same now. If that makes any difference.
No, it don't. So I'll tell you your information first. So you detect the subspace device is in some sort of container. However, you find that it is in multiple pieces. It has either been disassembled or destroyed. Okay, by a reroll. And let's see. For those of you who got 2 successes, which both of you did, you overhear her say, they might be the ones we're looking for. The ones from beyond.
see.
I'm not doing this, but I am so tempted to just like adopt full pose, spread out the wings slightly, and just go, "You're right."
She'd be gone.
Oh, no.
They'd be gone. That'd be like if a giraffe walked up to us and be like, "I'm from another planet. Okay, bye."
What's with the long neck? No, but so immediately, after she says that, I look at both of them and I say, Ichab, and what was your name? I look at the woman.
She says, "My name," as she does not look at her character sheet, is Winakra Edra, but you can just call me Edra.
Winakra?
Or Widra.
Edra.
Either one.
Very well.
It's fine.
These are my friends, as I pointed at them, and this one in particular, as I pointed my captain, is my recent science experiment. He's
God.
one of a kind.
You're gonna make it
of
worse.
his own, and he can do things that his own kind can't, which is why I brought him here. I would like to see what is in store for me in this regard. So don't be afraid of them. They are with me. They're all with me, I can assure you.
Since the commander has now given the explanation for Tiba Dunn having slightly more intelligent behavior, he's not going to cross into speaking yet, but he is going to go like up to the hatch, and it can't be locked anymore, it's been damaged, but close it, reconceal the hidden entrance, so if a patrol comes along, they're not just going to go, "Huh, here's an open door in the floor." Things are hidden again.
Okay.
And I look at them and I say, "See? Very intelligent, like I said. One of a kind."
They are staring now. I mean, you can train birds to do things, but that was out of the ordinary. You can't. No amount of training is going to get a bird to think, "Oh, let me go close the door." So they, the man Ichab looks to the three of you, or the four of you, if the chief medical officer is back, and says, "Who are you? Are you from our world? Are you really erudite? This seems so strange, but we created a device specifically to get the attention of others, and, well, we are hoping that it worked." He kind of looks at you expectantly.
I look at him and I say, "Ichab, this is a bit hard to understand, but keep up with me as I speak." The thing is, our proprietor, Adolphus, he is aware of this device. He's of course one of us, all of us erudites. However, he is trying to contact whoever is in outer space as well. He's trying to do it more orderly, in a sense that it doesn't let everyone in our planet go in panic mode, because that's exactly what would happen if, say, a spaceship comes about from outer space, from a different planet, and invades this planet. I say invade in loose terms. Of course, they would try to make first contact and all of that, but the thing is, this is one of the reasons why we are here. We are trying to work on this signal that you have right here, to make it work more efficiently, to make it work silently.
How did you detect
eventually? Well, you have to ask our proprietor in that regard. He has resources and people.
So do I, says the girl, Winakra. And you would notice that she does have the same white armband that you do. She says, "I also have resources, and my resources, my intelligence, my wealth has allowed me to get the resources and the materials and the energy necessary to create this so-called device that you mentioned, and also to conceal it from anyone else on this planet. So again,
given by your admission that you have resources, would it not be equally, or I suppose, would it not be as equally important for someone else of your stature to find this device and try and work on it? Someone like Adolphus?
It would be if Adolphus was still alive, or if any of the other erudites in the capital city had any inclination into subspace technology, which they don't. So, again, who are you?
That's up for debate, but given the fact that Adolphus is dead, and we do not work for the man, we work for his corporation. Obviously,
Right.
he has a corporation.
Of
at the end of
course,
the day.
yes, that corporation. They kind of now these two are exchanging glances. Don't take any kind of role to determine that they're not really believing anything you're saying at the moment. But
Adolphus is like that South Korean director of a firm that's been dead for like 10 years and no one admits it.
well, strangely enough, I mean, your tricorders and computers would be able to kind of, well, I wouldn't say hack into any of these old style computers, but you could probably pick up a bit of chatter on radios and the media and all that to know that Adolphus and his group, essentially, basically the people of his nature that lived 70 years ago, only died recently, like within the last couple of months. So, okay. Okay. So they're still taking a few steps away from you guys, like they don't trust you towards a computer, but whereas before they were kind of in awe of you because they thought for a moment you were time travelers, and then they thought you were people from another world. Now they're thinking something completely different. You're not sure what it is, but it's not good.
Well, and I sort of get close to the captain and whisper in his ear, if there is something we need to do regarding this whole thing, we need to do it right now. We might not know what will happen next, so...
Why are you whispering to that bird? the man asks.
He's one of a kind. What can I say? He listens to orders.
Oh.
Kind of goes...
Be time to fly over and do some percussive damage to that panel.
Out of character, Prime Directive interpretation is normally they can muster their own warp travel. We don't tend to answer the "is anybody out there" calls. Is my understanding. That's my memory.
My memory was the opposite, but I'll double check on.
Okay.
I mean, if they have the technology to ask, like the reason why. Whoops, wrong one. The reason why Vulcans didn't show up to Earth was because of the World War, and we didn't have the technology then to do that. But let me see. Prime Directive, because like if they're, so like if, and you know that's an if obviously. If this culture is actually in like 1970s, then yeah, any just sending out radio signals like, hey, is anyone there, is not, you don't answer that. But they clearly having subspace technology. Let's see. Providing knowledge of other worlds, no. Taking actions which supports one faction, no. Taking actions generally affect, no. Providing knowledge, no. Helping a society escape negative, no. Having a society escape natural death, no. Subverting or avoiding the application, no. Interfering with the internal affairs, yeah. So there's nothing here about, but I do remember, or I seem to remember, someone sent a message out and they answered it, but maybe I'm completely...
Well, if you're prepared to say that is like a known lawful action, it's not in violation of the Prime Directive to say hello to people who send out subspace messages that say hello.
It depends on, like, I would say just like pretty much everything in the Prime Directive, it depends on the circumstances. So like if you, for example, were like, hey, yeah, we're aliens, but don't tell anyone, and we're going to leave immediately because clearly you guys aren't ready, and they agreed, then that probably would be fine. I think that actually happened on Earth with the Vulcans before in that Montana episode, or not Montana, the episode where what's her name's grandmother came to Earth. But anyway, but if like for any reason the message of, you know, aliens, yeah, it's Paul, got out to the culture, and then that changed things, then that would be bad. So you got to use your judgment, I guess, because you could just be making something worse. Like if you said, no, we're members of an enemy state here to assassinate you, clearly that could make things a lot worse.
It's a lot worse. Yeah. So I say, just for the sake of how to phrase it, doing something that may be productive, because this is clearly going nowhere. No fault of the commanders. That we blow cover, not say we are the Federation, etc., but admit to, hello, we are aliens.
Right.
And we're trying very hard not to be. I say we do that. What does that's a big decision. So what does the whole team think?
Well, since I am cautious of outsiders, I'll say do whatever we have to do, and let's get out of here without blowing cover. And make them think whatever they think. They already are crazy in a sense, so it's not like people are gonna believe them whatever they do. So.
Okay, so we've got 1 for maintain cover if possible. We've got 2 for tell these people we're aliens, it seems. Right, okay. Oh, there's a message coming through there. Wait a moment. Cool. Oh, a +1 momentum. Where are we getting this momentum? But I'll take it, so that's 7. In that case, Tiba Dunn he'll start slow. He won't do the whole hello, the giraffes are actually secretly aliens, and will instead crane his neck because he's slightly assisted. I see. He's adopted a low hunched pose whilst he's in pet mode. He'll crane his head up to the commander and say in a whisper. Tell them the truth within limits. Aliens only, nothing more.
Very well. Niall sighs a bit. I walk to them and I'll say, I suppose there's no point in keeping it hidden anymore. I will tell you what we are, where we came from, on one condition.
You're spies, aren't you?
That you
You're here to steal our technology.
No, we're not. If you can help us finish our mission right here, I'll tell you what we are, where we came from, and maybe that can help you as well.
What is your mission? The woman asks.
Look at the captain. Captain, you might as well blow your cover at this point and just mention it.
Okay, well that's very short then. So okay, they'll
I don't
see
think you meant that.
Oh.
No, I thought you were.
Covers.
I thought you were telling him to tell them the truth within boundaries, so that they weren't completely like culture shocked by a bird talking to them. But never mind.
If I say we're aliens, this
Yeah, but you also
alien,
look like them, so they're
just
just assuming you guys are just like them.
He said it now. It's
Yeah,
happened.
take it away. Go ahead.
So, with that having done, Tiba Dunn will get out of pet mode and stand up properly, and like he'll roll the tops of his wings as though he's got an ache in his shoulder because he has. That's not a comfortable pose.
Right.
And then, oh my word, he'll say, "Please remain calm."
He passes out.
That is to be anticipated. And he'll look over at Edra and say that your initial suspicions were correct.
You are time travelers?
Not quite that initial, perhaps. We are the people that you were looking for. If you are willing, my colleagues here, and he'll gesture to his team, will look at your friend, who appears to have taken an understandable shock, and just make sure that he is okay.
That sounds fine.
One of a kind, I told you.
And I'm spending my last threat to say that you have been located, and you hear explosions outside as you're surrounded. And that is where we're going to end for today. If everybody is okay with it, well, first of all, I'm going to say goodbye to our viewers as I stop recording and stop streaming, because I